Just waiting for September PPI data to come through. There it is. Month-over-month core PPI for September, 0.2% versus 0.2% reading expected there. 2.8% on the core year-over-year number. Uptick from 2.4% expected. PPI month-over-month non-core is dead flat, though. 0.1% uptick expected. So the major inflation-related data, obviously CPI, PPI not as closely watched, but interesting on the year-over-year number. That's a decent size uptick there, 2.8% versus 2.4% expected for, again, PPI for the month of September. Coming up later this morning, Michigan consumer sentiment at 10 o'clock, more inflation data in that. Remember, there's a 1 year and a 5 year look as far as forecast is concerned. Looks like a whole bunch more Fed speakers to come through as well. Yeah, DJT, another huge move, 10+% already to the upside. We'll touch on that after what happened yesterday. Just absolutely monster throughout the session yesterday. Tesla downside here. I don't know. I thought it was pretty cool. What do you think?
I think amazing. Obviously, that we're led on details, but I thought it was a good look. A lot of the analysts weren't happy with some of the the specifics that he didn't get into. But there was a lot to take in yesterday. A bus, a car,
unexpected
a robot
bus,
serving you alcoholic drinks. I'm good with that, right? Like, come on.
Yeah, no, I mean the concept, if anyone hasn't kind of digested it, is everyone buys this $30,000 cyber taxi.
Yep.
It takes you to work, and then while you're at work, it's out working for you. I take it is the plan for this anyways. But I was kind of surprised that it's a two-door and two-seat.
That was a weird one.
It's a little bit limiting in that standpoint. I met Randy in the hallway this morning, and he's going to jump on later this morning, give us his take on his thoughts on the reaction. I mean, 2026, maybe?
Fine. That's all good there, but I wanted more details on the software. What are you doing differently specifically with this model that's not included in FSD right now? I guess we'll find out because we didn't get the information yet.
Yeah, a lot of people, I think, were skeptical from the standpoint of, people who are driving Ubers, people who are driving Lyfts now are going to be just, instantly out of a job. But this actually opens the door to the possibility of, them getting one of these, maybe even a fleet. Let's be honest,
exactly
5, 6, 7 of these to replace
to supplement their side income as well. Yeah, it's not a bad look.
So we'll see. I mean, still lots of questions, as we said, lots of timeline-specific questions. I think that need to be answered. But yeah, I mean, that van looked super cool.
Look, dude, what really caught my attention was the mixing of people with Optimus afterwards. He was walking amongst the people. They were having discussions with him. Thank you, Fabian. There it is. There's lots of these videos on X, on Twitter, if you want to go and have a look. Very natural way of speaking, to the extent, Brendo, that people are questioning whether this was actually AI speaking or somebody behind the robot. It was quite impressive.
I mean, it's very easy nowadays just to grab a voice, duplicate it, and have it say whatever you want it to say, in that same tone and attitude. But anyways, I mean, I think that's closer, at least the Optimus than the Cybercab. But we'll see. We'll see how Tesla reacts here. I mean, down significantly to start things off, better part of 6% right now. But let's give it some time. It's only 8:30. Sean, enjoying a day off today. Obi's in. Good morning, guys.
Good morning. Hey, man, I don't want any, I love the casual talk. It could serve a drink. That's cool as far as I'm concerned. As long as you we were talking about Isaac Asimov too. So when it comes to Optimus, as long as the 3 laws are in that bad boy and it's not gonna rise up and take control of the universe or take control of humanity, then I'm good with it. I thought it was pretty cool. It would be this is not fake voice, whatever. I think there's almost no chance that they would pull a nickel in a situation like this. That's just not how they roll. So I get it. It was a ridiculously casual voice, but you can just have it programmed that way. I'm assuming you get your own choice. I don't know if I would want Optimus talking to me like that. I don't even know ums and ahs when I'm asking you to get me a beer. The robot just would be like, "Yes, Neil. Your beer will be ready, Neil. And as long as you can open the pod bay doors, we'll be good to go." So, look, I think it's obviously you didn't get a lot of nuts and bolts when it came to improvements in FSD and sort of how you're going to get there and the timeline that you're going to get there for the cyber taxi. I get that. I thought the van was cool, so you're getting punished for that. What I can tell you is fantastic opportunities here at Real Trading for people that traded it on Blue Ocean. I'm not going to name any names out of respect, but a good friend, and I have to congratulate a good friend who used to trade on this trading floor and now has his own floor. Because I believe on Blue Ocean trading last night, he crossed the $1 million trader mark. And he did very well trading on Blue Ocean, which is an overnight market trading Tesla. And I think opportunities like that here at Real Trading are amazing. I think the election is going to be another one of those, trading the futures. When Trump was elected the first time, several traders on this floor did really, really well trading in the overnight market because futures went absolutely crazy. So I think these chances are out there. Fortunately, Tesla's down 6 points today. The good news for Tesla is it's got the 50-period moving averages trying to bounce off of. So I think that's going to be something to watch here. Like, it's right on it as we speak. And it was like that kind of support area at 23 and at 25. So we got a lot to work into here for Tesla. Unfortunately, it's to the downside here. But I thought the event was cool. We were scared that there wouldn't be enough nuts and bolts and it could head to the downside. I thought it could be a lot worse than just 5%, 5 or 6%. So in that light, it's not the end of the world. It's about the same as what they did to AMD yesterday, Obi. And DJT just keeps on going. I feel like I'm going to pay for locates, but I managed to get away with a couple of shorts and being up on the stock yesterday. If it gets to 30, I feel like I'm going to be doing the same thing.
Yeah, no, definitely congrats to our friend there. I didn't know he passed that milestone, so that's absolutely awesome. Definitely congrats is in order. And yeah, I saw that trade too. Absolutely beautiful trade. Pushing. Did you see some of the action there on Blue Ocean? It went all the way to 252.
252.
From 242 to 252, and I was like, oh boy. Imagine being able to hold some of those shares if you wanted this 250 back through short for the open into the NASDAQ session today, and we're trading at a low of trip 2s right there, trip 205s, with a bit of double bottom on Tesla. And yeah, similar kind of story to AMD yesterday. Sell the news.
Yes.
Sell the news event. Like, what is it? The event yesterday on AMD started at, I think it's 11:55, close to 12. And take a look at this. The top on the day is made right at 12. And look at that volume coming in off of I guess, Lisa Su, definitely bringing in some of that action there. And as soon as she kind of started speaking and the event started going on, we got that sell-off today. And then coming in to today, Tesla, similar story here. But again, great products. You saw the cab. No steering wheel, no pedals. We saw the van. The van was pretty cool. I like the interior. The interior is
really cool.
And I was like, yeah, damn, it's, some interesting stuff for the future for sure. But yeah, we'll see what Tesla has in store for us. Definitely day one catalyst in play, robotaxi event. A lot of anticipation going into the event as well. And yeah, maybe some profit taking coming out of it as we kind of sell off back down in the 2020 area. I did like that. I was talking to Joe about this actually yesterday. If you go on a higher time frame here, it just seems like we're drawing out more of the chart. You can see that we kind of topped out here in July at 270s, and then we made a lower high at 260s, and we're coming just right back in off of a trend break here. So it's like, which comes first, the chicken or the egg? Does the dog wag the tail, or does the tail wag the dog? But what I think, in my opinion, is that price action speaks volumes before anything else.
The egg comes first.
Yeah,
the egg comes first.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I think that one's been settled. Fabian knows the egg came first. He knows what's up with that. No, I always firmly believe that. But you know what? We got to call it. We got to call it the cyber taxi.
Okay.
It's the cyber taxi. That's what it's called. But no, it's all good. I think obviously Tesla's going to be a lot of focus today. There's no question about it. But before we throw back to the desk here, there was a moment in the afternoon where I looked over and realized that Bitcoin was under 60,000. And obviously you're trading other things, looking at a lot of the chip names after the AMD move. But there was a move in Bitcoin that's sort of worth watching. So in the afternoon, it lost 60,000, but there was a pretty nice bounce off. 58 was kind of a level, 54, bigger one, but a pretty decent bounce to regain it. I think if we can hold and break out 61 quarter here, there's some very intriguing opportunities. I was looking at MSTR, could take a 189 at the same time. That looks like a nice little bounce play. So there was some decent action here on BTC worth watching. If it can break this back out, I know it's a Friday and sometimes it won't do much and then the weekend will be the move. But if we can break out 61.5, start heading higher, MSTR was already strong. So I want to have an eye at least on crypto today after that little liquidity grab under 60K. Yeah, it's going to be a fun one today. There's a lot to look at, and we haven't even gotten into the bank earnings just yet. Wells Fargo, not bad. JP too?
I'm super excited. I can't wait for Optimus to be available specifically. But yeah, I mean, everything last night was really, really cool. We were just watching Crowd. Again, huge monster move yesterday. Ends the day, goes out literally at the highs. Didn't do much in the aftermarket, but just coming back in a little bit here for CRWD, positive on the morning as well. We'll keep an eye on Tesla, downside, Affirm to the upside. I mean, there's so much to talk about today. Bank earnings, oh, by the way, we're back in earnings season officially. Just seeing some comments from JP Morgan coming through right now from the CFO, just talking about their results. But anyways, back to the upside here for JPM through 216, already at 216.5, up nicely. 1.7%. Wells Fargo, WFC, another one, not as rosy for them. Win, nice note this morning on Win. We were touching on this one the other day. It was from, who was that from? Or Morgan Stanley with the upgrade to overweight on WINN. So a ton of different directions we can go here. I mean, it's great to be back in earnings season. Banks, never terribly exciting, but decent numbers for JPM.
Yeah, I just wanted to talk about JPM for a second because they beat on the top and bottom line with respect to what the street consensus was looking for, but their earnings fell slightly year over year, and there's a reason for that. It's because the net interest income contracted a little bit because of the cut in the rates. So we'll have to keep an eye on that, but revenue grew, very healthy here, 6% year over year, Brendo. They're printing $43.32 billion in revenue per quarter. Investment banking, not bad, right?
Not bad.
Investment banking's doing well. Equity trading's doing well, but the margin squeeze because of the interest rate cut is kind of what caught my attention. We'll see how the market reacts to that.
It's been the leader, continues to be the leader, JPM in the banking group. I was just noting Affirm just popped up on a scanner in front of me here. It touched all-time highs up there, or not all-time highs, but session highs. Came right back down, but nice positive note from, who was from? Wells Fargo with the upgrade on Affirm today as well. Initial thoughts on banks, guys?
Well, for a second there, you had me like Affirm all-time highs. Did somebody, did it squeeze and go 4x? No, we're just joking around there. Affirm's all-time high is 160-something, 165, something in that range. So it's got to triple up at least before it gets there. Yeah, the banks look pretty solid in here today. I mean, obviously, JP Morgan's going to lead. Obi and I were just discussing TD, which had some obviously bad news. The Canadian bank that operates in the United States, but it's pretty good for JP and Wells Fargo, although just now, was that just a dark pool dump on JP? Might have been. It looks like it actually, someone actually sold this. That was real. Yeah, this got sold 216.5 down to 215 in one shot. There's not a lot of liquidity, only 300,000 shares. Obviously, with bank earnings, you got to worry about the call. You want to calm them down for the first half an hour. Usually trade them after 10 o'clock or when they wrap up their calls is the best place to go about it, at least for me. I've said before, I was once caught in Morgan Stanley during the earnings call, and it was nonsensical. Like liquidity essentially dried up the second they started talking, and it was not. You didn't want to be in it. So I like the trend here on JPM. I just feel as if you need to let this one settle. Maybe give you some prior highs here, 13.5. It was Wells that I was probably a little bit more intrigued with. On the breakout, a little bit stronger. Already cleared out the local level. Now you're breaking out past this prior high 59, which was a big level going all the way back to last year, middle of last year. You had 59 support. Now you're looking at potential 59 support again. So between the two, JPM and Wells, it's just Wells is a little stronger right now. I think it sets you up for longs as long as it holds 59, which happens to be VWAP up here. It's maybe 20 cents higher than that. So yeah, I kind of prefer Wells on the setup. It's got a nice level going with it. You're up that 4 points. like with all bank earnings, I generally don't want to be trading them right at 9:30. It's when the call's concluded that I prefer to be in them, and then you don't have to worry about too much of anything. Yeah, looking very, very strong here. I might trade TD Bank a little bit later in the day, but I feel like there's really good news with the earnings here. TD getting that $3 billion fine and then having their growth limited in the United States, when that's one of the differentiators they had amongst other Canadian banks, might be a trickier one. It's actually trading flat. Remember, this is a Toronto. It's a Toronto stock, right? So ultimately, it's going to lean differently from some of the other U.S. names you'd watch here, just on a volume basis. And the opening, you always have to let the opening go on these dual listed names. Just give it a few minutes to shake itself out. But TD, it's right at the 200 period moving average. So after that big fine, $3 billion fine, limiting their growth and assets that they're able to have in the United States. Not good, but that 59 does look like a pretty solid level for TD Bank. I just doubt I trade that until later in the day.
Did you say bank? Ha, 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 ha. I don't know if you got that one, but yeah, no, JPM definitely on watch today. Some decent RVOL in the pre-market, some decent earnings as well, gapping up above some weekly highs right here. Trading above, yeah, 215. 215 is a little bit of that consolidation low as of right now in the pre-market right here. But take a look at this. Prior, a bit of an event here with the strong sell-off, strong relative volume as well. We got a high there at 221s, just shy of 221s right there. Let's see what it is specifically. You got 220.76s right there, where that strong selling came in. So I'm going to be watching some of these prices from when that volume did come in to see if any of that will catch, or do we break out and push a little bit higher on these earnings. And similar thing with Wells Fargo here. Wells Fargo's strong push up off of earnings, trading at $60 as of right now. So I'm going to keep an eye on this one. Taking a look at a higher time frame, you can see that we're coming into these prior levels right here of resistance. 62 is the high right there, but take a look at this consolidation. Again, with that selling that came in aggressively in and around the beginning of August, end of July right here. Some of these consolidation highs right above that 60.36 right there, 60.50, and then 61. So a little bit of a crowded area. Let's see what it does right here. Thought Randy was right here, but he is within the vicinity.
What the hell happened to the bull?
The bull kind of fell right there. But yeah, no, we'll be watching Wells Fargo.
Break yourself, fool.
How's it going?
What did you think of the event?
Mike.
It was, what did Sharif say? Interesting. You know what? There's a lot of disruption here, a lot of interesting things to say. It was interesting. I'll put it that way for now.
You sound underwhelmed, Randy. Okay, Randy's underwhelmed by the event. It doesn't float you. The van didn't excite you?
The van was cool.
I thought the van was awesome.
Like Iron Man, you took his helmet, you kind of stretched it out, flattened the bottom, and then you put wheels on it. That's what it looked like.
Not bad. I like
A little
that.
bit, right?
You need like the repulsors, though.
At the end of the day, don't forget, it's just hardware. You can put the software in any kind of car you want. So it's a van or a truck, or why can't we have FSD 2.0 and all the things that are existing now? You know, the two-door robotaxi, is that a future model too?
That's what I'm hoping.
Maybe.
The whole point to me should have been that we want that future model too.
Right. So
maybe
I think we ignore the hardware for now. This is a software play. This is a potential revenue stream, but it's disruptive on a few levels, morally, and do we trust it? And there's regulatory hurdles and all kinds of other stuff that has to be overcome. But interesting event.
Fair enough. The straight goods, Randy always gives it. See, you can't just always be a fanboy, and obviously we all appreciate it, but you're definitely right about it. It was definitely more of a software thing at this point, and the regulatory concerns are very, very real. Waymo's the only one really operating and doing this in the United States. They've gotten past that first hurdle in a real sense, and they still need to catch up there. So, true say. Yeah, 100%. I'll take one.
I'm okay for now. Yes, thank you.
Thanks, brother.
All right, a few other things moving around. I was just looking at a number of small caps to deal with this morning. ZENA, a few people were mentioning, already up significantly, back above $1. DJT, we talked about just off the top there very briefly, but worth mentioning. Trying to get back above 2650 right now. I was just watching level 2 there. It was struggling with 2650. 10% though on top of what happened yesterday. This one might be the most exciting potentially today.
Brendo, he's been making a lot of announcements lately, specifically with respect to tax. Now he announced yesterday, I'm talking about Donald Trump. He's looking at actually making the interest on your monthly payments for your car interest-free. He's been talking a lot about these kind of sort of tax havens or tax deductions that you can get on a number of things. We heard him, obviously talk about overtime, about tips. Those were older ones, but he keeps making these tax pronouncements, Brendo, as we get a lot closer to the election. I don't know. I think this is maybe what's fueling it. There's really no other news.
It's still, yeah, it could be one of many things, obviously, but 2 days in a row, like we're up significantly, guys, on DJT. So thoughts here, very, very active as well in the pre-market.
Like there is a big candle that's a dark pool, but still, it's a lot of relative volume in the pre-market, much more than yesterday. That's plain to see. Like I'll do this for everybody. Much more volume in the pre-market here. I have some concern that there's going to be a decided dip coming up soon on this stock, and that's mostly just because of what it's done. When a squeeze name does this, which it is a squeeze name, you usually have some pretty hefty pullbacks along the way, and there hasn't really been one on this latest rally. So ever since the expiration lockup at that 20th, you just haven't really had much of anything in terms of pullbacks through the 50, the next level. Now that you've taken out the 25, it's like you got $27, you got 29 to 30. You have a couple of zones that I think we're getting into. If we fail, that 27 is the next one, and we're right at the 27. I think that's the one that I'd be the most concerned with. If you fail this breakout at 27, it could be an early short. I'm not really thinking the long here. It's at these levels. I think earlier I liked it, but at these levels, I'm going to be patiently looking for a short opportunity, but I'm not trying to get run over. DJT's on to the moon. 27 and 29 are the two spots I'm going to look for a reversion. Pop and fade at the open. If it fails that break, I'd be looking short.
Yeah, this is a bit of a multi-day reversion going on here on DJT. You can see strong downtrend off of this July pop that we had right there, and then just if you draw a simple line right there, you can see that the trend has clearly been broken. A little bit of sideways consolidation on that, and now we're starting to run up. And not only are we starting to run up, Neil, we're doing that on expanding volume. Look at that. Look at that. It's a bit of a rounded bottom here, right? You can see that a little bit of a left cheek, right cheek bounce. You can see that right there off the 20 on that DJT. Nice little head and shoulders pattern, whatever you want to call it. There's a base around 15 is what I'm trying to say there, and we're trading at 26, 27, 2770s is the high of pre-market. And yeah, some of these prior levels might be interesting if we can get into them on DJT. So interesting stuff. Expanding volume is what I like right there on this one. But yeah, backside on this could be real nice if it does come in.
Let's go.
Here at the upgrades and the downgrades, and this first name has actually been already upgraded twice this week by Morgan Stanley and BTIG Research. Today, Affirm is getting the nod from Wells Fargo with a $52 price target. Ferrari getting an upgrade here from JP Morgan Chase. They're up about 1.5% so far pre-market. Amazon with this coverage here initiated by Pivotal Research Group with a $260 price target, saying there's some pretty strong growth potential here. Then Kinder Morgan KMI with this upgrade from B of A Securities. On the downgrade side, GM has certainly been on watch with regards to their updates on their EV production and targets there, getting a downgrade today by DZ Bank. Mobileye, this is quite the price target cut from $30 to $13 from Mizuho. TD Bank, we know that one has been embroiled in some money laundering issues, settled that case yesterday, and now getting downgraded by RBC Capital Markets. And ending the list with Humana, which has been on actually both sides of this board throughout the week. Today, getting a downgrade by KeyBank Capital Management, down about 3%. Tons to talk about here, guys.
Yeah, Ferrari's been on one. It was Sharif that was mentioning to me. That's an interesting one to look at. But it's a firm out of that group that we're looking for some continuation. So remember, like a firm earlier this week was a great breakout past that 40 level, like pretty clean. Like look what this did for you on Tuesday. Like he gave you the nice like gap up, tested the 40 level, trended in the afternoon, kind of gave you what you needed. Follow through the following day. Yesterday, disappointing day because everything seemed like it lost some steam at the end there. Thank you very much, AMD. But now you're setting up. You're another gap higher. It's a clean 44 level here on Affirm. I feel as if you don't break this 44. We are heading a little bit lower, down 0.3. Here, let's just show the NASDAQ in a second to get into why I think you might be looking at some dip buys, right? So you're getting into overnight lows, and then you have that morning support where we bounce, kind of like an area 20, 30, 4, maybe even like 10, 15 points lower. I think if you can get some kind of a bounce there, these gap up stocks will give you an opportunity. Prior high in here is at 42.8. I actually like the 42 much better. Those round numbers on an options Friday, I think they can be a little bit better to anchor yourself to. So if there's no breakout at 44 and we go dip hunting, which seems pretty likely at this point, I think that 42 stands out here for Affirm particularly.
Yeah, I like that the downgrade on TD. Again, we were talking about this a little bit earlier with their fines coming in, a little bit of a gap down yesterday on that news here. Now we're looking at TD here on the NYSE, and you can see that it comes in with a little bit of a trend break. We've been running up again since that August 5th bottom. We've had a nice little run up, a little bit of a sideways consolidation here, top of 62s. Now we're getting a bit of a breakdown here, and then look, it attempts to bid up. Nice little reversion right off of the open, but closes a pretty weak there. Pretty weak close for sure. And I remember it comes out.
Whoa! What the heck is?
Is that real action on JP?
Yeah, JP Morgan just lost a bid here for like $5. There's nothing on the level. Hold on a second. This is insane. JP Morgan is just lost a bid. Let's see if I can quickly slide over. Okay, they just popped back in. Like the bid just showed back up, getting it back to 11s and 12s. But wow, that was a big liquidity grab on JP Morgan. Dropped $5 in a single shot and try and come back here. This is the kind of move, if they just rinse people out, if it can hold on to this prior close and maybe hold above, that would be a little bit spicy. I didn't hear a thing. What do we have going on? Here we go. JP Morgan CFO says expects net interest income ex markets to be $87 billion for 2025. So I guess they don't like that net interest income number there, but yeah, just lost a bid rather quickly on JP Morgan. They didn't mean to interrupt. It was just, you don't usually see that. Like I had the stock up on another level 2. All of a sudden, I just saw like my level 2 that I had up there was just no bid. Like the bid basically disappeared, and next thing you know was at that 10 level. This could be a nice little rinse zone. You need to hold the open. This is why you don't want to trade these things when you have a call going on post earnings in the morning. Very, very difficult to do because there's, quite frankly, there was no liquidity. Like if you wanted to go long off that move, the bottom is 10 and you're probably long at 11.50, 12. And that's even if you could get any shares. So crazy price action here. JP losing the bid.
Oh, that was pretty crazy there. But yeah, no, definitely gotta stay wary in the pre-market there. Less liquidity as well. Anybody who's coming in with a bit of an order can definitely wipe the book like that. And we see a prime example like that live there on JPM. But yeah, we were talking about TD here. I was pointing out to Neil, we are selling off on this, but again, taking a look at a bit of a higher frame here, we can see it's been basing. Let's go a little bit higher as well. We can maybe it'll show up on the daily as well right here. That 52 kind of base there, depending on which market you're looking at, either in the TSX or the NYSE, this kind of price action is relatively the same. We're just pretty much been ranging since 2022 in between this 64, 65, just shy of 65 area, and a strong base off of this 52.5 right here. Every time you can see over the past couple of years, every time it's gotten into 52 halves, we've just bid right back up for about a 7 to 10 point move back into 62s right there on TD. And seems like using this bit of news, PR, and some volume, selling volume right there, we're kind of coming right back into the range on TD. So I kind of like that, maybe looking for a continuation trade with that downgrade today as well on this bank.
All right, let's get into everything else we need to know here this morning. A lot going on. We'll start with a look at the overall market.
58.25, guys. That's where we closed out yesterday on the ES December contract, which is good because that was a previous resistance level that we've been talking about. We're trying to use that as support. So let's see, number one, do we hold on to 58.25? If we don't, we're looking at 5,800 as support. If we hold on to 58.25, we're still looking at that all-time high, that elusive all-time high, 58.50.
If you haven't done so yet, make sure you grab the absolutely free watch list. All you have to do is go down to the description of this video link right now. There's a link to the watch list down there. All you need is your email, and then it comes right to your inbox every single day for free. Has everything you need to know on it. Before we come on at 8:30, we'll touch on Tesla here. I was just saw it pop up again on volume scanner here to the downside. So we're back to basically session lows here. This is one of many. Needham, one of many analysts with opinions coming off what happened last night. If you missed it, it was very late on the East Coast, but the cyber taxi event, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, I mean, not living up to expectations of many, although, I mean, I didn't see anything wrong with it. I guess it comes down to the timeline and you know, solid information on when, the where, the why, the how, and timeline.
Speaking of that, Brendo, great segue there. They actually want to have unsupervised these FSDs or FSD taxis in Texas and California by next year. So we already know Waymo's doing it using other people's cars, mostly Jaguar I-Paces. So we'll keep an eye out for that. So here are the details. The actual cyber cab itself, that two-door that you guys saw, they want to produce it before 2027. They want to have a price target of around 30,000. We'll have to see about that. The autonomous robo van is going to be able to carry up to 20 people or goods. It's made for both, so we'll keep an eye out on that. They're divesting a lot of resources, obviously, from other areas into this to try and catch up. And here are some of the analyst actions, because you mentioned this, Brendo. Barclays noted the event lacked near-term opportunities and did not provide updates on FSD progress. Piper Sandler expressed disappointment, predicted a potential sell-off. Morgan Stanley chimed in as well, said there was a lack of details on FSD improvements and potential tie-up with XAI, excuse me. We'll have to see how the market reacts today.
But hey, you can take Optimus to the bar with you.
Fantastic.
I guess.
Look, I want to thank the trader I was congratulating earlier was kind enough to say, hey, it's cool. You can show the chart when he was trading on Blue Ocean. So this was an actual trader here at Real Trading, trading the overnight in the Blue Ocean market, and was able to essentially take some breakouts here on Tesla. So obviously it's down now, but during the event, it was like breakout to breakout. This one's here at about 45, and then early at 43, and then you got this move into 50. So like it's real. Like there is, and obviously if you don't have access to Blue Ocean, you're not going to be able to take this kind of a trade. It was a late event. Not every trader is going to want to stay up for that, but there were some good opportunities. Look at it bounce off of VWAP, like just standard things you do, like bounce off VWAP, take the break of the even dollar, you know, get out as it's trying to hold the 48 level. So I think the instructive here would be, you know, if we're not going to get back to 242, that would have been a good level for us to use, obviously. Now you're dealing with a totally different reality here on Tesla, which is underneath the 50 period on the daily, which stands at 225. So if we can't climb back above 225, specifically for me, 225 and a half, if we're not above 225 and a half, I'm looking to fade. If we get through this, I'm looking for a gap fill. And on a Friday, every even dollar counts. Every $5 counts, I should say, not even dollar. So if we do get through 225 and a half, then we're back into 230. I think that's like one move, play for a reversion at that point. But first things first, we're under the 50 period on the daily right now, underneath that support. So if we don't regain it, I'm looking short on Tesla. It's that simple. There's another one, and I saw this in the chat only because I always do this. Rivian is a very decent threat to break $10 today. If we have a down day, it's one of those stocks that when the chart looks like this, and it's nearing what looks like to me a flat bottom break at the $10 level, it's a short that I'll always try. If you get 98, 90, the reason I like this, or sometimes Neo, you get 98 or 99 short, you can throw a stop at if you want 1 or 2, you can throw a stop at 5. If it flushes, great. I feel like those are the kinds of trades where you know your risk reward's pretty clean. And if it has a disaster day, it can go to $9.50, it can go to $9. You get out every 10 cents or whatever you like. I just like the risk to reward on breaks like that. It's no different from saying break out on Nvidia 135. It's just Nvidia's trending up, so you play a breakout. Rivian's trending down, so you play a breakdown on this stock. So, you know, I Clay trades. Rivian chart is death, bro. It's bad. I don't know if it's death. I think we could come up with some charts that better exemplify the word death than Rivian's. Because you need to be underneath. You know what I'm saying? Like, here's my thing. If you're not through an all-time low, it could be worse, right? So I don't think it's death yet. It's really, really bad, but there's worse ones out there, I would argue. I'm sure something would come to mind, but yeah, Rivian, $10. Looks like it's a chance to break here this morning.
Yeah, no, I think definitely going to be a lot of eyes on Tesla today. Day one catalyst, robotaxi event. Again, I don't think much more needs to be said. And again, shout out to that beautiful blue ocean trade there on the breakout into that 250, and then nice little selling coming right back in through. And then look at that overnight session. It continues to sell off. 4 a.m. candle, nice little strong candle to the downside, doing lots of volume there, and then volume fading off as it bases off on this 222.05 is the pre-market low as of right now. What's going on, Pat? 222.05 pre-market low right now. And yeah, going to be looking for that continuation, Neil. That's exactly right. I'm looking for, you can see that nice little trend happening there in the pre-market. Bit of a flat bottom break. Shout out to Sharif there. You can see that double bottom as of right now, this most latest bottom right now in that same area, and we're making lower highs off of that. So let's see if we get a trend break back to the upside, maybe a little bit of reversion here. We are down to the lows about almost 7% there. I have 6.7 with a rough measurement there. Wow, those are a lot of lines. Unnecessary as of right now, but we can take a look at some prior support levels as well, just to figure out where we might find some interesting tape, some interesting participants potentially from prior bars here. So I'm just going to go up to the 3-hour right here, and you can see all the way down. I mean, there isn't anything too significant that really pops out right away to the downside. It's only that resistance just underneath that 240, 237-ish area where we consolidated and we started to break down as well. So let's see if we can get a bit of continuation. Something else I might want to watch as well is this little trend here. If this is the high of the trend, if we can pull up, if we do catch a bid, do we get to this 235? I do have this marked off as well. And another name to kind of watch, Neil, while we're watching Tesla, and it's already starting to move a little bit as of right now in the pre-market, is Uber. Yes, they're right. So you can see that nice little pop. 78s trading at 82s right now on Uber. So let's see if this one will give us a bit of a ride today to the upside. Continuation right here. Let's go up to the higher time frame to see any other resistance levels. And you can see right here, these are all-time highs, right? These are all-time highs on Uber. Looking for a breakout. Look at this triple top that we had at that 82.14 is the high, 82 area. We're pushing that area as of right now on Uber. Let's go to the weekly right here so you can see it a little bit clearer right there. Nice little wick down, gets bought right back up. Look at that aggressive bidding that comes up, and now we're pushing for all-time highs here on Uber. So that might actually be a little bit better in terms of a technical trade on Uber technology today.
Yeah, 82.14 all-time high. It doesn't count that it's printing it now because it has to be in the open market. So at 9:30, it will be an all-time high once it gets there. The volume is actually, I would argue, outside of maybe DJT, like Uber has done the best relative volume in here. So it needs to be on the radars. It's a blue sky setup on Uber. Any fears that there was going to be specifics, I think, that would scare you, there wasn't anything with regards to like show us a practical app or any real time, a specific timeline. I think that's why Uber is essentially mirroring the move in the other way.
All right, let's talk about banks here to the upside right across the board this morning. That's BAC just popping back up around 40.50 right now, still 1.3% for BAC. WFC looking really good at $60. Got rejected there this morning. JP Morgan. The call is on right now, so there are some comments coming through. Just be aware it's probably one of the results from that move to the downside, or the result of the move to the downside. But I mean, decent numbers here right across the board for all of these.
Yeah, it was a beat on the top and bottom line, Brendo, but the only thing that really stood out to me was earnings per share contracted a little bit. That's specifically due to the contraction in net interest income falling as a result of the Fed reducing their rates, so we'll keep an eye on that. But everything else looked good. Revenue increased 6% year over year. Net interest income, as I mentioned, was a bit of a contraction there. Investment banking division saw a 31% year over year increase in revenue. Equities revenue jumped 27% year over year, equities trading, that is. So I'll have to keep an eye, up 25% so far this year.
Just reading one of the latest comments here in regards to expenses going into an FDIC special assessment in Q1 of 2024 as well. So possibly one of the reasons, again, that was out at 903, so possibly one of the reasons for that down move. But just be aware, call is still ongoing, guys, for JPM.
Yeah, definitely be a bit cautious if you happen to be trading this pre-market. Not a lot of liquidity. Your stops can get run, and if you're not using a market order, it could be tricky getting liquidity or getting fills. When this happened on JP Morgan, I went immediately over after showing you guys and just checked out what Wells did. Obviously, on sympathy, the bid's going to drop a bit when those comments were going on, but it hung right onto that 59 level on Wells Fargo. And so this one, yeah, this just reaffirms that I think this is the one I like better. No question about it. So that prior high 59 in here, looking for that as support. I want to go long off Wells Fargo at the 59 level. The fact that liquidity came in at that price when JP tanked during the call makes a lot of sense to me that you can get some follow through here. Specifically, Wells Fargo 59. I don't think I'm going to trade JP Morgan. I mean, something could always set up after the open, or maybe there's a trend that forms in there. But there's already so much to look at, right? Like there's Tesla, there's Uber. We haven't even talked about, and we'll talk about this next with regards to AMD, Nvidia 135. Can't even forget about the 2.5 million shares were on the offer at that price level. I mean, Apple was so strong. I like that one. There's a lot to look at today. I don't think JP Morgan's me in there, but Wells Fargo, yes, 59.
Yeah, no, we talked about some of these earlier. A bit of a push up on Wells Fargo. JPM was looking the same there, but then we got that nice little strong flush there with that volume coming in, bringing it right back to the reference price of when that earnings report potentially came out right there. So going to keep an eye on that one. Anybody and everybody who was long off of this right there, I'm going to probably say mainly probably just algos who came in real hot right off of that drop. Everybody kind of maybe out of the money there. A lot of this consolidation that happened for over, over about an hour and a half right there. And we're trading significantly lower there, back into that initial reference price, back into prior days levels as well. So we're going to continue watching this one. Let's see what it does. We've made a low on that flush at 210.13s on JPM. So that should be interesting going forward during the day. Again, doing some decent relative volume here. I have it on the 15-minute as doing a little above 20 times relative volume, so it should be interesting. Wells Fargo as well. We're looking at this one as well earlier, and just coming up into some of these prior consolidation areas right here, right? 60, 61, going to be interesting. If we can get above this 61, I think we're poised for a little bit of an interesting action there. 62.08 is the high, all-time high, Neil? Yes, it is.
Yes, it is. Before we go back to the desk, I want to thank Vishal Modi for the super chat here. Appreciate you. We appreciate all the super chats. We just ask that you like the show. If you enjoy yourself, hit the like, hit the subscribe. If you want to ask us questions in the chat, then make sure you hit that subscribe, because it is a subscribers only chat. So we love all of you. Max and Solar. 167K float. I understand small float names have an opportunity to go at any time, because it can get soaked up, and then you can get like an effective type of squeeze. That said, we were just sort of talking about charts that are death. This is the better example of a chart that is death compared to Rivian. Rivian at least has a bottom to go through. Maxion does not have a bottom to go through outside of every single day. So for names like this, if it's not giving you a rounded bottom or making some kind of a bottoming pattern or has a catalyst that can get it to go squeezing, hands off as far as I'm concerned. So And then this example here would be something that, look, CLH would be an example of something which has made a bottom, broke a trend. So I can do this and say, okay, well, like the most recent trend when it broke this low, let's just throw this on really quickly. So if you look at this low, a key low break in here at about 50 bucks or so, formed a trend line, broke the trend line, closed above it, and now you're gapping. That's something which has been, it's a death chart, but made a big bottom yesterday, and that's something to hold on to, like maybe this 35 high. Right? Like it's at least giving you some kind of a trend action to show that it's making a bounce, whereas MaxN hasn't done that yet. And if you try to guess where the bottom is going to be on a death chart, you end up usually just bag holding it. So to me, MaxN, nothing. CLH could have something, although it's pulling back already.
All right, we'll touch on AMD. Back to the downside right now. I zoomed out a little bit here so you can get an idea. Sell the News event yesterday, big time, right out of the gate. The advancing AI event for AMD, yeah, it wasn't terribly impressive according to the market. We go out basically on the lows. There's a little bit of covering into the close at the end of the day, but 164, 165 coming into play here this morning.
So there were a lot of product announcements yesterday, a lot of collaborations announced as well. We saw multiple CEOs sitting down with Lisa Su and talking about new products coming up. What really caught my eye, though, was the MI325X, and that is supposed to start production. That's their response, really, for Blackwell. Nvidia's Blackwell is supposed to start production by the end of this year. It's positioned to take on some of the, the individuals who will be looking at buying the Blackwell chip. The only issue is can't make them enough because Taiwan Semi's taking the majority of the production, or sorry, Nvidia's taking the majority of Taiwan Semi's production, so it's hard for AMD to challenge them there. There's also the issue, Brendo, of CUDA, their ecosystem. Yeah. So AMD is trying to respond with their own called ROCm. We'll see how that works out.
Yeah, and we all know the Nvidia story. That's part of the catch with Nvidia. You have to be in their environment. So yeah, we'll see how the stock responds today. This portion of the show brought to you by our friends over at Worksport. New discovery on the NASDAQ, Worksport, ticker WKSP. Worksport is a U.S.-based manufacturer and rapidly expanding with growing revenues, government contracts, and innovative green energy products designed to power your life off-grid. Whether you're on the move or seeking sustainable energy solutions, Worksport has you covered. Now trading on the NASDAQ under WKSP. Discover the future of clean energy with Worksport. Shout out to our friends over at Worksport. We're going to have the CEO. Yeah, you can get a tonneau cover for Rivian R1T now from Worksport. Hey. We're going to have the CEO on coming up in a couple of weeks, 17th, I believe, for Worksport. So we'll chat with them.
Yeah, it should be a fun one there. Thank you, Brennan. So AMD the event, it doesn't really matter. They sold the news on the event. I think that's the big takeaway. The good news is that the 50 period gone, 200 period moving average was the exact bounce zone. So to show you where to look for support today on AMD would be like this prior high, the 200 period, keep saying the wrong thing, is 162. That is essentially to the penny where it bounced, is that 200 period moving average on the daily. And you've got this nice clean over-under at 166. On the 15-minute, the sole green candle after that event until the end, until it really was making those bottoms in there, was at 166. And you got a pre-market high up there. This feels like the Tesla 225. It's an over-under. If we don't break this, AMD's a short again. If we break it, I think it's going ham. The problem with the break at 166 on AMD is if that happens, Nvidia's probably breaking 135. And I get it. It's Friday. There were 2.5 million shares on the offer on Nvidia at 135. It did not break it. The short was the better trade yesterday several times. This morning it was the better trade. That said, breaking this one out, I'm going to take it. If it's a quick fail, then I'm going to have a tight stop. Like, this is not one of those where I hold it down like $1, even like the $0.50. Forget that. If it's going to hold above 135 on a Friday, there'll be multiple chances to get it. You got 37s as a local high. I think a move that gets into that, you want to try to be adding to it because the 35 is such an obvious breakout level here in Nvidia. There was also like Broadcom 186.5, if you prefer that stock. It was basically the same thing in looking at the strong chip names. But the problem with Broadcom is, why are we not looking at a Broadcom break? No, because Broadcom is dumped 2% here. And the more that I look at this, if it doesn't recover, this is not the best sign. And again, part of the reason why I have a really tight stop on that Nvidia break is if it fails, you already have some weakness here. The market's coming in, Broadcom's already dumped a little bit here. You don't want to be taking one breakout trade that ruins your morning. The upsides, if it goes and it works right away, you're going to get $1, you're going to get $2. And if maybe you can even hold it for more in the last portion. But if it fails, you could easily get a rinse job. And Broadcom should be at least giving us some warning here. So I'm going to take the break regardless. There's no question about it at that 35. But I'm going to have a tight stop on it on Nvidia.
Yeah, no, definitely a lot of tech names on watch today. Chip names, yeah, AMD. We saw what happened on the event. We talked about this earlier in the pre-market. The definition of sell the news. Pretty much, event starts at 11:55. This candle starts at 12 o'clock, makes the intraday high, can't even get to pre-market highs, and look at that volume, expanding volume coming in for the flush of some of these prior levels there. All this anticipation, all this bidding that kind of went up into the event. Nice little shelf breakdown here through that 170, 169 area right here on AMD. So I'm going to be, I have a level marked right here, as you guys can see, just underneath 166. Why is that? Why do I like that 166? Well, take a look at this. So off of that strong flush, that initial consolidation that lasted longer. Well, sure, we have a little bit of a pit stop here, 167s, but take a look at this. We stop and consolidate underneath 166. We flush a little bit lower, and then the strongest bid that kind of came in throughout this selling action is right here from about 1 o'clock to about 1:30. For about 30 minutes, it bids up, and it still cannot get through that 166 and continues to flush lower with a nice little strong bid coming in at the end of the day, going into imbalances, going into the close. So that's definitely interesting. And look at that. Might have had a bit of I guess eye on that level intraday, but that level coming in again in the pre-market as we cannot get above 166 and we continue to fade off. So that 166 definitely going to be on watch today. Prior day low as well, sitting right at 162 on the dot on AMD. So going to be interesting there. Pre-market lows on watch as well. Pre-market low being 164.17. We're trading at 164.85 right now on AMD. And yeah, that Nvidia 135 is absolutely showing itself as well. Once again, very, very clear level right there. You can see a double top yesterday, and then 4 a.m. candle high right there. When that 7 a.m. volume comes in, nice little flat consolidation, a nice little push up into that 830, and look at that. The 134.99 stays the high. So that level, that held offer is still sitting at that 135 on Nvidia, and we've been making higher lows into that level. So let's see if we're poised for a little bit of a breakout. Don't forget, all-time highs on Nvidia is sitting right there at 140.99. So 6-point move on Nvidia on some strong volume on a breakout, I think is more than possible. And before we even get to that 41 level, take a look at this. Another prior high at that 137. Gonna have to get through that one to get through all-time highs as well. So gonna be interesting. AMD, Nvidia definitely on watch today when it comes to chip.
Affirm back downside right now, but decent morning here so far this morning. Couple of analyst notes on AFRM, including an upgrade this morning. It struggled at that high from yesterday. That was in the pre-market or right out of the gate this morning as well. We'll see if we can get above 44, but decent here, almost 3% right now.
Yeah, and Bernstein chiming in here on Affirm, Brendo, really liking it. So overweight from equal weight is the upgrade there. A nice price target upgrade as well from 40 to 52. Here are the reasons. They believe Affirm has clearly demonstrated, according to them, the right to win the incremental e-commerce checkout market game. They're also on track to achieve GAAP profitability. And the market stock valuation is palatable, according to Bernstein. So good look. And I was telling you off camera, I mean, I just bought an iPad last week, and you know, no matter where I went, whether it was Amazon, whether it was Apple's website, Affirm was there at the checkout for the buy now, pay later. They seem to be making all the right deals.
Quietly, yeah, taking over more and more market. If you go to a higher time frame on daily chart, this is just a daily chart of Affirm, 44 and then 48. I mean, this chart looks pretty good. If you zoom out, way out, I mean, go back to pandemic levels, we're nowhere near highs. 52, 54, maybe the line in the sand way up here, but chart looks pretty good here for Affirm, guys.
It really does. And I have to admit, I now that we're considering Uber, after looking at the Uber chart, it's hard to prefer this one. Like, I liked it for the gap up. It's like if the chip breakouts don't work out off the open, Affirm's got this nice consolidation after bouncing 38. Like, there was a breakout, hold 40, make one step, break 44, look 45, 46. That all looks pretty good. We're now at $43 all of a sudden. Like, you're pulling back. I still think if you lose 43, that 42 area, I don't know why I have 42.40. Oh, yeah, probably because of this day. I think that 42 area prior close can be something if it fills in the gap. But that 44 break's looking less likely. The market's looking kind of weak. You look at what's going on with Uber. Like the Tesla, of course, now Uber, as I say that, Uber just lost the pre-market support level. So might have to wait on this one as well. Like the Uber needs to be holding out and about above 82.14, which is the all-time high. So I think both those, whether it's Affirm 44, that's going to have to wait for it to make some kind of a bottom. Uber, same story. Even that break on Nvidia, like look at Nvidia now. We just had to move to the downside. Like everything just kind of take down. So you're a ways away from anything looking like breakouts as weak as this market is. And I feel like if it's a short today, it might end up in only Tesla. I just want to quickly put up the imbalance locator here for everybody, because I did not have that one up and 930 hit. Yeah, it's just Uber for 300,000 to buy, Nvidia 200,000 to sell. Nothing really stands out. That's very small for NIO. But keep an eye here, just a small imbalance to the sell side on Nvidia and just a small buy imbalance on Uber that stand out. But Uber needs to be above 82.14 for that all-time high breakout. That's in play, but now $1 away from it. And Affirm, $1 away from that 44 break as well.
Yeah, I really like that that Uber push for potential. I guess we'll see. We'll see. Again, similar question that I always like to ask: if the bid is real and we pull back into it, where and when will it catch? If it even does, that's going to be my. I guess that's the look on Uber for me today. But Affirm, yeah, that 47.98 is that prior high from the middle to end of September, right there, coming in. And a bit of a break of that trend as of right now as well. So that's something I am watching. So Affirm been bidding up for the past few days. If you just measure off of this high, if I can catch that candle right there, there it is. Boom. So a little bit of a trend there, and then we got some trend acceleration as well to the downside as well. We've broken both of those general areas. Now I'm just drawing rough trend lines right there, nothing precise. But you can see that whenever it's done that before, a bit of a trend break, it has been making higher highs and higher lows. Again, since this August 5th low right there, with that earnings coming in with a strong push, and then we continue, even off of a sell-off, we continue to hold prior levels and make some higher, and visit some higher prices here on Affirm. So let's see if that will have anything in store for us today. If we can get through this 44 prior day high, just shy of that 44 pre-market highs as well. In and around just shy of that 44 mark on Affirm. So let's look for that continuation. If it's going to be there, if not, maybe a little bit of sell-off. Who knows? I have no idea what it will do. I'll be watching some of those prices to look for some action there.
DJT has been pretty impressive the past week and a half to even going back to 3 weeks ago. Back downside right now, just coming into 26 once again, but definitely active here in the pre-market. Was up better part of 10% initially.
In the pre-market, a sell imbalance of 450,000 flashed on Tesla, immediately paired off half of it, and it just went through that 220. So I was geared up for, we were just about to talk about DJT, but that just happened on Tesla. So it just broke 220, now starting to come back in. Might have to look, sometimes you got to move the targets here. I still want to give it a chance. We like the 225 a little bit better. VWAP's going to sit here at 223.35 as it's now broken to the downside. DJT is very quickly for everybody. 27, big level on the daily chart. 29, big level on the daily chart. If it doesn't break out 27, I'm thinking fade off of this level. I paid for locates. It needs to be like a pop failed break setup is what I'm looking for on DJT. Even that's getting heavy with 1 minute to go. Uber is still a buy of 600,000, but pretty much everything else is sell side. Wells Fargo is a buy of 240,000. Tesla is pairing off, but that 200 break was rather rapid. Let's be patient about this one here. No, I'm not hitting any lows. Short sell, it'll be 10% down at what, like 215-ish? Something on those lines if I'm doing some napkin math there. But a wild one. Doesn't matter what we think of the event or if you had fun watching it or you thought it was exciting. It was a breakout actually in the aftermarket. on Tesla got up to 250. Right now it's down 7.5% and more as we're about to get this opening bell. So a lot is pulling in here. I just looked up AMD's at 164. Stick a fork in the 166 for the time being. We're going to need some pops if you want to fade some of these weaker names. So just going to have to wait for it in here as we got the last opening bell of the week. Brought to you by WorkSport on the NASDAQ, WKSP added to your watch list today. Adara in 3, 2, and 1. Ring it. That was overly, oh yeah, that's right. That was overly gentle on our ears. Thank you very much.
Nice.
Okay. Hey, it was loud yesterday, but that's okay. I didn't think it was that bad.
I'm watching this Uber here, pre-market high 82.87. Let's see if that can come in. We're catching a bit of a bid. We got that flush off of the imbalances there that dropped us down to 81, and we're getting
Uber
a nice little bid back up above that prior all-time highs, 82 teens it was. But again, pre-market highs is a little bit higher, 82.87, so just shy of that 83. So let's see where we go on this Uber. I'm ready for a little bit of a ride if you guys are trying to share on this ticker here on Uber. But yeah, 82 is holding right now. I'm going to be patient. I'm watching AMD as well. I'm watching Nvidia. I am watching JPM, Wells Fargo, Tesla, Robinhood as well. Palantir's strong. I like that. The market is flushing to the downside on the NASDAQ, but the ES is holding relatively well. Bit of a trend on that ES, and NQ has definitely broken that shelf at 20,360 as well. So there is Uber to the upside.
Uber's
there.
flying.
82.70s right here. Let's see if we can get that break of pre-market high right now. Neil, what's going on?
So Uber actually broke out the all-time high right off the open. I didn't get the breakout trade, but whoa, just shot to 83. But I did get it at 82.10 there, just shot right to 83. Do not fail the 83 level. I was trying to add back through 82, didn't get any more shares. If it does come back into the downside, we'll definitely play a dip buy in here, but it's now broken out the 83. Quick, back in the money. My God, Tesla's dying. We'll get to that in a second. Tesla's absolutely dying here, down at 217 bucks. We're not going to get that trade. This is absolute insanity. So if we can hold on to the prior high here, 82.50, I want to look for a place to add into this trade. Looking awfully good here in Uber. But what's not looking good is Tesla, as everyone can see. Tesla, I'm just going to cancel my offer. There is nothing doing on Tesla here. There is no bid. There is no liquidity. It is just falling. I got to think about like the first available bounce and consolidation. We're going to want to be short this sucker if we can. Nvidia is about to go as well. So Nvidia about to get to this 135 level for the breakout. I'm going to take the break. I'm going to have a relatively tight stop on it. I haven't seen the offer to see what the liquidity looks like on Nvidia. There was 2.5 million shares there yesterday. Will it be there today? I have no idea, but I think we're going to find out rather quickly here on NVDA. Market's trying to catch a bit of a bid here. Just the one position, just Uber on that break. Now with fresh all-time highs, $1 in the money. I don't want it losing that 83, but I want to be buying that dip, that's for sure.
Yeah, nice catch on that 82 there, Neil. I like that, but it's kind of struggling to push past that these pre-market highs as of right now. So I'm kind of continuing to watch that. 134 back in on Nvidia, 82 halves right here on Uber. So nice little selling back into that pre-market range right here. So we did catch a nice little bid right off of the open there for a push up into a high of 83.43. We're trading right back down into 82.30s as of right now. So let's see if it does pull back. Can it catch a little bit of a bid in some of these pre-market, in this pre-market range here on Uber? Let's see where that VWAP is sitting at as well. So I have VWAP right now at 82.19. We're trading at 82.20s right there. So VWAP holding as of right now on Uber. Nice little push right off of the open there, but aggressive selling coming right in. Got to remember that the ES and the NASDAQ are looking distinctly different as of right now. Look at the ES blasting to the upside, and the NASDAQ, a bit of a sell-off there on the NASDAQ. So Tesla definitely being one of the top constituents, one of the Mag 7s there on the NASDAQ, and bringing in that aggressive selling once again. What's going on?
Here's one stronger name here for sure. Near high of days right now, JP Morgan. Quite the chart. We had this push down here into 210s. Now we're into almost 220s. They had earnings this morning, beating for earnings per share and net revenue estimates, though there was a bit of a cautious note with regards to the M&A regulatory environment, which we know has been a concern, as well as geopolitical issues. Jamie Dimon, the CEO, saying, though, apparently their balance sheet is, quote, extraordinarily strong. So JPM here up about 3.5% right now, guys.
I'm angry with myself over Wells Fargo because Wells Fargo is at 61 bucks. I just went for a 215 break on Tesla. There was no real great pop to play off of. I thought maybe you'd see something closer to 220 to play off of that, but it just broke 215 down and then right back to the upside. So kind of like the Nvidia trade, I don't want to hang on to it too long there. But Tesla is trying to catch a bit at the 215, starting to come to the upside. SSR, I feel like it might have ticked it there. So we're now short sell restricted on Tesla through 215. I just heard the yup from Brankles over there, so that's 100% confirmed because he's all over it. Yeah, that might have been a reversal long trade. The only thing we just got is the reload. Wanted to get our shares there at the 82 on Uber. We did pick them back up. Local bottom here is now 81.90. That's where the new stop is going to go, just underneath that on Uber, as Obi likes to say. But Tesla SSR bounce might be in play. Whoa, that did not break the stop. All right, we're getting right back in. That did not break 81.90. And when it does, I'm just going to jump out of it. But Tesla's now short sell restricted. I probably should have been long there back through 215, but I did not realize that was SSR. That's 100% on me. You got to be able to look for that. No way I'm trying to even though it's a small hit, there's no way I'm looking for a short when it's going SSR. That's insanely stupid. But now going back to the upside, if Tesla does a nice little higher low, this is an SSR bounce. I usually like those to VWAP and then get the you-know-what out of Dodge. No break of Nvidia, that 135. Again,
yeah,
the shorts just wins there, right?
The 34s have been holding quite well as well on that one. We saw what action that 34 brought in yesterday. We have been making higher lows off of that. That is something to consider there on Nvidia. So yeah, gonna stay a little patient. Gonna continue watching Tesla with a little bit of a bid as well coming in. AMD continuing to sell off. We did not get to that 166. We got to a low of 163 instead on Nvidia. But yeah, I'm not really seeing too much else there. I'm gonna again, as Sharif likes to say, pack my patience a little bit. Palantir though continuing to push prior day highs right there. So a little bit of a breakout of prior day's highs on Palantir, trading at 44.12's high of day as of right now on Palantir. Oh boy. Here comes Uber as well, holding that VWAP as of right now, Neil. So maybe we are poised for a little bit of a bid here on Uber on the day here. I'm watching SMCI as well. I'm looking at a few different charts here just to see what could potentially come in. Right off of the open, some strong drives as we see again. Tesla strong opening drive to the downside there, coming into that prior 215, 216 level on Tesla. So let's see if that can hold the bid there. AMD, nice little bid as well, coming right back up into 164s. Oh boy, are we going to get that 166? Did you say
Uber or Bull?
Nice.
Let's go to Adara.
Sorry. Hello. Did not realize there was going to be Top Wealth Group here, up over 100%. This one announcing here this $10.8 million public offering of 27 million shares, priced here at 40 cents per share. Currently trading here around almost $5. We also do have here a float of 2 million shares. 7.4% of that float is going to be sold short. If you're liking this content, make sure you're liking and subscribing to the show to make sure you can check this out every single day, guys.
I was just telling Sharif, that SSR bounce on Tesla was the gold standard of SSR bounces. No matter how the day ends, that's on me. You know, it doesn't even make a difference whether I got out of Dodge on that one. I had the order to break because it's an even dollar. It's going down. It's an even dollar. I was looking short. But no, it was 10% down in that moment. It's right at VWAP in there. I don't have an entry that chases it to 217 bucks to get that last $3 in there. But if you noted that SSR level, congratulations to you. It happens, man. You're out in the wild. I got to get over to, if the crypto names are making some power moves, this is, Money Move says Fabian. This is MSTR. MSTR broke that 189. It is gone, gone, gone. The market's at the lows. NASDAQ's at the lows. sorry, ES is trying to break higher as we speak. At the ES to the top, you got the NASDAQs at the bottom, you got Bitcoin going ham, you got Uber at all-time highs, and unfortunately, like one of the things that we're all excited for was a 135 break on Nvidia. Nvidia doesn't care, man. Nvidia is not doing absolutely anything here. You got to look at some of these banks. I think it was a missed opportunity for myself. The 59 never really came in outside of the pre-market on Wells. It's trying to put in a higher low. If it can hold on to VWAP, I think I got to try to at least join the trend here. But Uber's running into resistance again here. Again, we did the scalp into VWAP in the prior high. I'm looking for it to hold above 83s. Like the idea is to be, as long as you like higher low, break 83, play another higher low, and then just see if we can't work this all the way to the 83 half, hopefully like even an 85. That's the plan of action there on Uber. It just needs to make that press for us. It's the only thing I'm in, and it should have been, look, I should have been in Tesla, but it is what it is. You got to move on to the next. Nvidia doing absolutely nothing here, guys.
Yeah, it's turning a lot of volume on this 134, so I'm continuing to watch this. Again, a lot of volume was done at that 134 yesterday as well, and it continues to do that 134 volume. Nice little churn here. Look at that opening range right here. A bit of a messy chart as of right now, but you can see the first few opening candles we're trading within the range of those right there. Again, it's 9:40, only about 10 minutes off of the open there, and we've done about 18 million shares, 19 million on Nvidia, still holding that 134. So I'm going to continue watching this. Maybe that 135 will come in potentially, but I got to pack my patience for that one, Neil. So I am kind of, yes, Reef. I'm kind of just waiting patiently, just looking for a potential trade there. I don't see any reversions. I don't see too much price action just yet. But again, something that is continuing that I'm seeing out of the corner of my eye is a Palantir, Neil. So that thing is hella strong on the day today.
No, Palantir is now 1.5%, breaking 44 even. It's not Uber's not the only thing making fresh highs. I think the all-time high on Palantir is 45. I'll have to double check. We'll go to Adara. I'm going to double check that all-time high on Palantir. It's got to be coming in.
Nice bounce here for Micron off this previous support level here of 105. This one was really strong yesterday as well, actually getting its own 2x levered long and short ETFs there, MUU and MUD from Direction Daily. It's also worth noting here we actually had a positive note on Micron from Jim Cramer on and CNBC stories, Mad Money, I guess. We do have apparently Micron saying had an amazing quarter according to Jim Cramer. So MU getting some love from CNBC, up almost 1% right now today, guys. Let's see if we can continue that move from yesterday.
Thank you very much there, Adara. I think I have like 45 the all-time high. It doesn't really matter. Palantir's pretty much there right now. Uber, again, the only concern would be this 83. You're running into the same resistance as before. Load. There we go. So there's your break, all-time highs, all that good stuff. But Uber starting to slow down. You have another, like it was a bad wick at the open. If you lose underneath again here at 90 level, I want to be jumping out and then playing for that lower high off of, or that higher low off of VWAP in here. We're going to take it out if we lose this bid and try and just resume the trend to the upside. It's holding, and as long as it can manage to hold this level, we'll gap to the upside. Tesla, if you got the SSR bounce, congratulations. The next trade is just trying to come back into this like 2020 level. And remember, this is a tricky one here. It's SSR. So I needed to fail a breakout was the ideal setup. Like not stand out in front of it when it's a short sell restricted name, because if it breaks 2020 and holds above, you could go flying now that it's short sell restricted. It would need to trap people in a 2020 long to even think about it. I'm going to make the assumption that Rivian is not a $10 break anymore. Yeah, it's not. So throw out the Rivian $10 break after that bounce in Tesla as well.
Yeah, no, continuing to watch the same kind of names here. That Tesla bounce, that SSR, that's absolutely beautiful. I looked at it right there, and aggressive bid off of that 214.40, and now we're consolidating just underneath that 220 there, Neil. So let's see if we can get back up to some of those pre-market highs. That double bottom low, again, we talked about in the pre-market, 222 is the level I want to watch on Tesla coming into that 220. AMD as well catching a bit of a bid here. You can see here. Let me just pull up the chart right here. So coming right back into some of these pre-market ranges. We didn't quite get to yesterday's low of day 162 clean on yesterday's low of day on AMD. 166 as well. So I have AMD up here. I'm gonna pull it up on my tape if and when it can get closer to 166. Right here, if we're chopping around in this pre-market range, I don't necessarily want to get involved just yet. But nice little action off of the open. Let me know in the chat what you guys have been trading off of the open. Have you guys taken any trades yet? As we come into the close of the first 15-minute candle, it is 9:44.55 right now, Neil. So yeah, closing first 15-minute candle as of right now on a lot of these names. So let us know in the chat what you guys have been trading. UPS, says someone, Amazon long. We will take care. I mean, we will take a look at some of those in just a second.
DJT, Obi.
Yes, DJT is going.
DJT's at that $27 level as well. So that's a big one. Tesla's at 220. No break of 220 on Tesla. Just got to VWAP and backed off again. But DJT, for myself, the 27 had to be a failed break. Like, it's got to be a failed breakout through 27. So now that it's broken 27, it needs to come back under, lose the bid, short to the local high. Although if it breaks the pre-market high, then I'm hands off. Like, it has to lose this 27 level before it gets to the prior pre-market high in there, which is about $27.50. If it can do that and hold underneath for at least a hair. All right, now it's back underneath. Some sellers are starting to emerge. Give me 80s in there, 27 quarter. Get filled, get filled, get filled, get filled. There we go. It just got picked up in the 80s. I got 84. Local highs at the quarter mark. Stops already in on DJT. VWAP sits at 26.25. I want to get out in front of that quarter mark on DJT. Trails in on Uber, but Uber's now really challenging that opening range bottom. Love to see it hold above that opening range bottom. We're trying to hold it through 83 even on the Uber long. All right, buyers are already here at the 50s on DJT. Need to get something out there, and then we'll play it back into VWAP. So DJT came in. Tesla, no break of 220. That's still a good short level if you're just standing out in front of it. I'm not, because it's SSR. But we're in DJT for the first time. Yeah, the buyers really like this $26.50 level. You just can't get filled out in front of it.
Yeah, nice little pop there on Nvidia as well. We kind of knocked on the door of that. Well, not all the way, but we were in the we're trading in the 50s. We went all the way to 60s, 70s, almost 80s there on Nvidia 134s. And let's see if that 135 can potentially still come in. But again, we've been doing a lot of volume here. 23 million traded so far on the day, and all of it has been pretty much on top of this 134 on Nvidia. So nice little potential accumulation for a continuation through that 135. But again, the ES is going. The Nasdaq is definitely trailing a little bit behind. We are getting a little bit of a bid off of that sell-off that we had earlier. Let's see if we can kind of push back through this 20,400. We did wick it right off of what candle is this? So about an 8:30 candle right there. We did wick a little bit of that as of right now. So let's see, the NASDAQ, we can definitely use a little bit of tailwind from the NASDAQ for a push through that 135 as of right now. I'm looking at Tech Basket as well. AMD 165 and change trading right now. So almost at that 166 level that I want to be watching at. SMCI just trading within its opening range. What's happening?
I think be careful with AMD. I'm looking over at Broadcom here, because remember how Broadcom was dumping in the pre-market as a bit of a negative sign for the chip space? Well, it just made a huge bounce. If it holds on to VWAP, this could be the thing that gets it going. Like the NASDAQ, I said, NASDAQ was at lows and the ES was at highs. Banks were strong. If Broadcom starts to join this party to the upside, I think that changes things for these chip names. So I'm going to have this one up somewhere, because I like that AMD 166 as well for resistance. But look at the strength. It's like a liquidity grab underneath the pre-market low when taking a step back. It's a liquidity grab underneath, not pre-market low, the prior close. Stair step up into a flat top break. And if that's happening at the same time, NASDAQ's catching a bid, Broadcom's catching a bid, I don't know how much I like that short into that kind of strength. So unless Broadcom reaffirms that you're going downside here, I don't know how much I'm going to like that short. I'm just kind of changing things on the fly. Uber now at that high of the day, so it's put up or shut up time. All-time highs on Uber. This is a spot that we like, so we're going to change our stop. We're not going to trail this one back into that 83 zone. Now looking for the new trend that just got observed here. So it's a wild one this morning. You got Tesla with the cyber taxi. You got AMD going all over the bloody place. You got Palantir, all-time highs, Uber all-time highs. If you like the show, hit that like and subscribe, everybody. And if you want to throw out some numbers in the chat or some names in the chat that we haven't got to, you got to be a subscriber to do that. So hit that subscribe. Make sure you hit that bell so you're notified. And Uber 84, oh boy, Obi.
Boy, coming in.
It's starting to stall at that 84. I'm going to have to set a new trend. If it loses this trend line, I'm going to be getting out. I got to find another entry point in here. Let's see what can happen. Tesla's through 220.
Oh boy.
SSR bounce for the win, everybody.
That thing is going.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, that should have been a long. Hi, my name is Neil. At least I'm not shorted.
Yeah, no, that Tesla is looking hella strong right there. Coming into that pre-market level, that 222 we were talking about, right? So that 222 coming in. Uber super strong as well through its all-time highs right there, printing into 84, almost 84s here as of right now. Again, ES super strong. NQ doing a bit of a bounce as well. So let's see where these tickers will take us. 220 acting as a little bit of a resistance, but that 222 is definitely more of a level there on Tesla. 134.70s, Neil. We're only about a quarter away, again, from that 135 here on Nvidia. So got to keep an eye on that one real close as that 135 comes in. Is that size going to be showing up again once more today? It was there in the pre-market. It was there yesterday. Let's see if it shows up again. 134.70s trading on Nvidia as of right now.
It's coming.
Oh boy.
I feel like that's going to be next. It seems like that's going to be next. I was asked if I have any trades on Mara. Barry, I usually go short in Mara, and after that bounce in BTC and what's happening on MSTR, I think you have to be patient. The general idea on Mara for myself has been, okay, Nvidia's at 135. It's been shorted off the 50 period on the daily. So when it gets to that, that's where I look for the reversion on MARA. It's not there yet, so I have no trade. But Nvidia is at 135. I have it up on another level too. I have the break set. That's not, when it breaks, I'm just crossing to 21s. So we should get the fill. There's about, what does that look like? 1.6, 1.7 on the offer. So less than there was yesterday. But I mean, what are we talking about here? It was 2.4 million on the offer of Nvidia at 135 yesterday. Today it's 1.6. It's a very, very tight stop for me when this breaks, based on the selling that's going on at this level. So very, very tight stop. If it fail breaks this level, you're going to be back at VWAP very quickly, I think. So 135 Nvidia, here we come. We just tagged 84 again. My trail on Uber just went to 83.50. But it looks like this Nvidia is going to happen any second now.
Yeah, you got to keep a close eye on that one. Nvidia pushing for that 135 once again. So let's see if that can come in. Knocking on the door. Trading in the 90s. Yeah, they're definitely. We saw how well the scalp worked yesterday for Nvidia. Here it comes once again, knocking on the door of that 135. So let's again, got to pack our patience, which we have been. As that 135 knocks once again for, what is this, the fourth, the fifth, the sixth time? I don't even remember, Neil, as it kind of attempts to push even higher right now. See, that 135 break could definitely give us a strong move. If not, maybe a false break as well. Who knows? Going to continue watching that as we trade in the 90s. Oh boy, look at that. Selling coming right back in. Can't even print that. High a day right now is 135 on the dot. But let's see, can we hold the last quarter there? Can we hold above 75s and continue to the upside here on Nvidia, Neil? I have no idea.
All right, Uber just broke 84. The trail's going in now. Moving the trail from 83.5 into 80, just underneath the 84 level. Feels like we just made a bit of a curl on the NASDAQ with no break of Nvidia coming in here. Let's go to Adara.
Beware of Conduit Pharmaceuticals here, CDT. This one making a little bit of a base here. This, keep in mind, penny stocks. So we bounced a bit off 12 cents here. Now we're having a little bit of rejection to the 15-cent level, but trying to push higher here with pretty strong, actually increasing volume off the open. AstraZeneca, AZN, reporting an almost 10% stake in the company, which has a $12 million market cap, guys.
$12 million market cap. That's absolutely gigantic. There you go. You can be a mid-tier NBA player and buy that company. Shout out to Jacob Portal. who could be the proud owner of whatever company that was. So two things just happened. One, we just got out of Uber. We're going to ring the register on that one. And DJT just broke 26. So the fail breakout at 27, play to the 26 half. Now we're working off the pre-market lows. I have a trail to 26 even here. This does represent a higher low on DJT. Want to make sure we lock it in if we can. Uber, oh no, Uber might have just, you know, it is what it is. It got to the 84. I said if it failed the 84, we're going to get out. It set up a new steep trend once it broke this high outside of this one. So you can have the old trend line and not care about it. But the steep trend in here was just broken, which got me out of it. But we're out of Uber for now. Still a trend up. We'll take $1.80 on it and hang on to the DJT short. Okay, Nvidia's coming again. All right, Nvidia. The scalpers are winning on this. You could have, if you were scalping the short trend, I'm talking 97, 98. Like legitimately, you're just sitting on the offer 97, 98, 99. You could have made your day shorting this. The downside to that trade is, who knows what price you get on the way back out. So if you're scalping it for 5, 10 cents, you know, get it a couple times, well, you might lose 20 on a 135 break. So I'm playing it in one direction. Just going to take the breakout long here and throw a tight stop in there, and that's going to be the play here. So when we're at the 135, that's where the focus has to be.
Yeah, for sure. I think we're kind of building up into it. We saw all the volume kind of churn on top of that 134 as well, and we're just kind of continuing to knock on the door. Again, significantly less size than there was on that level today versus yesterday. And yeah, going to continue to watch that 135 as we continue to trade in 134.90s, Neil. So we are definitely knocking on the door of that 135. As soon as that breaks, let's see if we can catch a little bit of a push. Here it comes once again, 98s, 99s. Oh boy.
Break it.
Let's see if it can potentially come in here on the day. I have no idea, but that, again, a lot of pressure. It does look aggressive. It is the morning session, and we're in the first half hour of the day. So gonna continue to watch this one as, again, some of the breakouts in the first part, and the end of the day definitely going to be a little bit better, I think. And we're getting that volume as well, that morning volume that can potentially take us through, what is that, 9,000, almost 9,000 lots there on that, or just over 9,000 lots there at that 135 as of right now.
Yeah, it's still, every time you stare down a breakout, it doesn't happen. So I feel like I'm just going to stop staring at it. DJT just came back through 26. So we end up with like, we got an 84 price and then an 04 out. So we about 80 pennies on that one, 30 on the first. Good risk to reward. There's a pretty specific setup for a fail breakout at that 27 level. So we're out of that. Uber looks like it was the right call decision to get out there, at least temporarily, at that 94 level. Scalp to here. Once it broke the high, there was really no obvious place to get back into it. Didn't retrace VWAP. Maybe we'll still get that. I want to thank you, Rob EV, for the super chat. Thoughts on Lunar. Now that Nvidia, I'm out of both the two, the short on DJT and we're out of the long on Uber. Now that we're also not breaking 135, we can look at Lunar. No worries there. We appreciate the super chat. Again, just always hit the like and the subscribe. This one, I don't know the story here as to why it might be rallying or if it even needs one, because look at the liquidity grab underneath $7 on the daily chart. That's usually a pretty solid reversal setup. So you pop that over, go to the 15. There's your liquidity grab. There's your consolidation. There's your breakout. Although it just rejected this 740 break. That's what has to hold. You got to hold this break here to make the next move up. So it's challenging that 740, I would say. But I like the general setup. You probably be long at a 735 and be in the money here, giving it back to the pre-market lows. Good look for Lunar. You like those liquidity grabs for continuation plays. Yeah, once again, Nvidia just can't seem to break. Going to go back over to Tesla. It'll happen at some point. I feel like there's no chance. Are we testing this level 2 days in a row on Nvidia for us not to get there? Come on. I don't think so. Tesla did not get that fill. Yeah, kind of missed the fill back underneath. So there was your rejection of the 220 break on Tesla. Came back underneath it. I did try to pick it up. If it bounces here, I don't want to just be sitting on the offer. I tried to pick it up on the way back through on this VWAP fail, like the confirmation candle. Didn't get it, but I still think the 220 is a level to watch here for Tesla, SSR. So be careful.
Yeah, that's 220. And oh boy, kind of missed that one on AMD there, Neil. You can see that it didn't quite get to 166, but we got to a high of 165.60, and we're getting a little bit of a pullback there. So making a lower high relative to this pre-market area here on AMD. So going to continue watching that one there to see if that can continue to make lower highs. Maybe we still have a chance of coming into that 166, or we're getting a nice little strong flush. But look at the distinct difference here on the ES versus the NASDAQ. The ES continuing to push fresh highs as the NASDAQ kind of just teeters along and trading within its opening range as of right now. Oh boy, there's that selling coming in a little bit off of that 135. That 135 short has been quite amazing. Like you said, continuing to churn that on the sell over and over again has definitely been paying on Nvidia. No idea when it'll break, but that's been the trade since yesterday, since it started knocking on the door of that 135.
We got numbers here. Let's go to it, Eric. You have your earpiece on?
No, I don't.
Oh.
We did get numbers here. Michigan consumer sentiment. This is the preliminary print for October, coming in below estimates here, 68.9 compared to the previous print of 70.1, and the consensus here of 70.8, forecast of 70.4. So below expectations here for the consumer sentiment number. Inflation here, preliminary here, the 5-year inflation expectation below estimates, 3% versus 3.1% expected. Consumer expectations below estimates, as were current conditions. The current inflation expectations here actually above estimates, though. So 2.9% compared to the previous print of 2.7%, forecast of 2.6%. So to recap, higher than expected inflation expectations for right now, lower than expected 5-year inflation expectations, and lower than expected consumer sentiment. SPY taking a move to the downside on this, though still positive on the day, as Opie just mentioned there. NASDAQ a bit weaker than the S&P 500, and that's because we have a couple names in tech, including one in particular, setting us a little bit to the downside. One of these is, of course, going to be TSLA. Still struggling a bit with that 220 area, down almost 9% as of right now. Had their event yesterday that was not super well received with regards to the cyber cab and their cyber van. Cyber cab apparently set to be priced under $30,000. There's also here names like Affirm, still up about 4% here, getting its third upgrade of the week. This one from Wells Fargo with a $52 price target and overweight rating. So much to look at, guys, including some Fed speakers throughout the morning.
Thank you, Dara.
Fed speak. We always love some Fed speak for sure. Thank you very much there, Dara. I'm actually just double checking. Yeah, Wells Fargo, we didn't get picked up at 60 either. Wells Fargo's on one, 5%. Did that bounce off 59? The thing about the bounce off 59, you had to have it in the pre-market when JP tanked. Gonna have to see if we can get VWAP in here at some point. It'll be at 650, so that's the next leg. I just looked over at Broadcom, and it's still failing underneath VWAP. But if Broadcom reverses trend, you now got a rounded bottom here on AVGO. I think if it can break out that high, then you're gonna get the push that we're looking for on the chip names. So Nvidia is holding on to VWAP. Look at these lit grabs. At least it's setting up. It's starting to set up at least a bit of a trend line here on Nvidia going into that 135. Instead of just waiting only for that, now have a dip buy action to play into on Nvidia. But that break, still looking for the break regardless. One way or another, I want that one to the long side. I completely forgot about Apple, and I just looked over at my Apple chart and realized it did bounce off that 227.5. It's a weak name here, though. So trending down at the lows when the market's already trying to bounce, but it did do a nice bounce off that 227.5. I'll look for a higher low bid there. As long as it can hold on to that higher low, things look pretty good there with Apple. Nvidia just lost VWAP again. Not seeing a great reload on Uber and Tesla. Yeah, Tesla's still chilling underneath that 220 level. I'm going to double check DJT. I want to see if that sets something else up. So we already had one fail break at 27. Maybe a fail of VWAP can set up a bit of a trend short down to 25 here on DJT. So packing some patience here as let us know what symbols you guys are looking at here, because I'm waiting on the same ones. I'm looking for some re-entries into Uber long, DJT short, obviously that 135 break on Nvidia, which doesn't want us, and then VWAP on Wells Fargo.
Yeah, that Uber, Neil, is holding some of these I guess opening range highs there right there, 183.40s, 183.30s there. That's kind of where the moving average was as well, and we're definitely holding on to those levels as we try to pull back into those day highs there on Uber. Let's see if we continue to make some higher highs and higher lows there on this trend up. Again, we can see that ES is taking a little bit of a pullback as of right now as well, and NASDAQ as well. So futures are definitely to the downside, but Uber pushing all-time highs is definitely very, very strong today. High right now, 84.17 coming into 83.90s. And that Nvidia still has not broken back below that 134, Neil. So that 134 definitely interesting, continuing to stay catching a little bit of a bid there on that 134 on Nvidia. So gonna be like you said, packing my patience, waiting for that to potentially come in here and see what that'll have in store for us going forward on the day. So yeah, the 134 hold. Again, we did a lot of volume in that area earlier, and then now we're still holding, we're still pushing. We attempted to push 135 once again, and then pull back into that 134, but that 134 continues to hold. So it should be interesting. That's the only thing I'm really watching right now. Uber with a little bit of a short here, but let's see. It doesn't really look too good as of right now. Holding the moving averages and holding some of those prior opening range highs there, poised for a little bit of a push for high a day. But that 135 on Nvidia is probably the top thing that I'm looking at right now. What are you looking at?
I mean, I just noticed that Intel was over the 2350 level, and shout out to the people in the chat that were all yelling about it. Not in all caps, but I think they were trying to get my attention because 23.5, that was, look at the wick short that it was in yesterday's trade. Distinctly different today going into that resistance, isn't it? So I'm not thinking this is a short at 2350. I'm thinking this is now a long on Intel. What chip name is breaking out the high right now? Nvidia can't break out the high. AMD certainly can't break out the high. AVGO's weak. The Nasdaq's doing nothing. Micron, I actually don't know what Micron is doing. It's probably, okay, it just failed the high. Interesting. Micron just failed the high of the day. Bounce Micron. But Intel looks like it's the strongest one at this point. So if it's going to hold on to this 23.5 zone, kind of give it to the bottom wick here at 44s or underneath 44s, that looks like a good continuation long. Maybe I shouldn't be picky with Uber. It's not, on the 15-minute, it's giving you no entries. I thought VWAP, and it thought otherwise. Uber continues to run to the upside. That one's a home run today. So the event, considered a dud for Tesla, considered no threat for Uber is the story. Speaking of Tesla, it's right back into that 220 level. I might see this one try to set up again, a fail break of 220 here on TSLA. All right, Nvidia, this has to be the time.
Yeah,
Nvidia's back at 90.
34.
Hate to keep coming to this one, but what are you going to do? We got the stop order set for the 135 break here on Nvidia. I keep feeling like this is going to be the one. It gets right to 99. No break of the 135. How many times are we going to test this? Need this break here on Nvidia. Lots of strong names as the Nasdaq's bouncing back in here. I feel like the next thing that's going to happen is this Nvidia breakout, though. Yeah,
so it continues to build up into that level there. So, but it's kind of sandwiched. We saw what it's been doing. It's been sandwiching from yesterday there on this name. So gonna be a little bit more patient to see if that'll potentially come in. And that could definitely come in at any time as we kind of start building up into it more and more, I guess, aggressively there, 135. And the futures, you can see that we're getting a lot of tailwind here with the futures as well as that level potentially comes in. So maybe, like I said before, maybe that's what we needed for that Nvidia 135 break. Again, only about, I guess, around 10,000 to 15 lots there. On that 135, significantly less. Yesterday, what was it? What did we see? About, you said 2.5 million shares.
It was 2.4 on just the two gateways, NASDAQ and EDGX, and then whatever else was on the other gateways. It was probably minimum 2.5 million shares, and then you have to consider all of the shares that would have been in the dark. Like if you're displayed 2.5 million offer 135, it's Friday as well. There's going to be at least that in the dark, if not more. So it's a pretty hefty level. Like you can always do that mental math, right? Like if there's 5 million, let's just say that's going to transact on a break of 135, you're now talking 650. So 2/3 of $1 billion worth of shares could be on the offer on a break of 135. And we'll throw ours in if it does break out. Before we go to Adara, another high just happened on Intel. So it continues to break higher. It's going to cancel. I don't need 50s anymore. I still want to play back into the prior breakout levels on any dips. Intel's on one before Nvidia is even going anywhere. Up 2% here in Intel. I'm trying to join it, but if it extends too far, close to 24, I can't chase up to 24. Even dollars, always a turnaround spot on Intel. So let's go to Adara.
Worth keeping an eye on DoorDash here, DASH. Yesterday, this one got a nice little pop here during the middays. You can kind of see over here with volume. There is some circulation of this video. It was actually ended up being fan-made that was potentially teasing the idea that Tesla would announce a partnership with DoorDash. That did not end up happening, but DASH, again, lower volume. I think we just crossed 1 million shares traded on the day. But keep an eye on this one. Could also be an Uber and Lyft sympathy play because Dash and Uber both do deliveries. But either way, DASH up more than 3%. Keep an eye on this, guys.
Yeah, certainly worth a look there. That rumor was pretty nasty. That's why you want things to be confirmed for sure. It's not, forget about being first reporting stuff. We always want to make sure you get it right. And if it's a rumor, just say it's a rumor. Or say like one person reporting this. Because a lot of people got rinsed on that Dash yesterday if you just reacted to the first thing you saw on Twitter. So no break of Nvidia, but I'll hold. Apple bounces off 227.5, makes the higher low, breaks it out, and holds VWAP. So the next stair step up, if you don't get it here, then I want it there. If it gets underneath 228, I'm out. But otherwise, we're now long into Apple as the NASDAQ is flying. Nvidia break, does it even need to happen at this point? Yes, because everyone wants it to happen. But the NASDAQ is absolutely flying. I'm joining the Apple party because if we're going to continue to go higher, I can see that being part of it. Come on, just break this level. We're still here. The amount of people that are scalping short Nvidia at this 138, 134, 98, 99 is a little bit intense. There you go. Now you can kind of see it. Like every time it gets up to 98, 99, you just see people throwing tens of thousands of shares to scalp trade this. Like they're getting in at 98, 99, just hoping to make 5, 10 pennies, and then assuming that on the way out, they'll get a good fill. So that's what's happening. That's the size. It just went. There's the breakout on Nvidia. Immediately goes to 35. So right to 35, right to 40, get up Nvidia. It's about time. Everyone was waiting forever for that to happen. So let's just see. I just heard the guys in the back. Everyone is gesticulating wildly over that breakout. I got 16s on that fill. I don't know what you got.
20. You crossed 20 pennies.
I crossed 21s and got 16s on Nvidia, which, I mean, ultimately isn't the best fill in the world. Yeah, sellers in the 35 range. I'm going to get another leg out there. I already have one north side of the 50 level. What did Apple do? Apple's holding out pretty nicely. Just wanted to make sure that was going to be the case. So Apple's doing fine. The NASDAQ is flying. Tesla's above 220. I think we should be good with all of this. I'm glad I'm not really trying to fade much of anything right now. I haven't checked AMD yet. What's AMD doing? Oh, yeah, AMD's still weak.
Holding. Yeah.
Okay, so all this excitement here in Nvidia. One more fill. You know what? I thought I was right at 57, 58, but I was sitting on the other side. I want a false break of 50. So break of 50. If it pulls back now, I scalped out of 2/3 of it already, and I'm going to look for the break of the 136 level to hold. Now, the reason for aggressive scalping, nothing to do with Nvidia or AMD. I just wanted to show how weak it was. 137 is that high. So to me, the play was here to the 137. And then once you get to 137, like this high in here, once you get to 137, look for the second play. So long Nvidia, Apple's starting to go as well. Pretty much it's a party to the upside. I think this play for myself is 135 to 137. On any break or fail break of 136, I want to take the next leg out. So it hasn't really been all that bad this morning. Can't complain. Oh, Apple should be a checkout here. Thought I was on the offer at the $0.50. Just get on the offer at the $0.50 on Apple. Apple's trying to go red to green. It's above VWAP. I like that, but I don't like the fact that it's already checking up here at the $0.50 when the market's flying. So I'm going to take some out there on Apple. I'll reload it only if it shows me a setup. It showed me the setup for the long off VWAP here. It's got to show me another setup. Give me the bounce. Let's get it on strength instead of on weakness. So Nvidia going, Apple going. I'm just going to double check Uber for myself here. Bit of a topping tail candle. I was looking to find a place to get back into Uber. This is what the trend looks like since this consolidation at the open. You have a nice little trend that would line up with the $84 level. Whew, it's been a fun one in here. JTK, thank you for the super chat. Oh my God. TQQQ breaking out above 74. Oh, yes, it is. Oh, boy. The NASDAQ is going. The longs are printing, unless you are in advanced micro devices, which can't even hold green. AMD's sick today, everybody. It's taking the day off.
Yeah, no, that 35 came in real hot, and we can't really hold 35 halves as of right now. Markets, I guess, markets pushing up to the upside. 135.68 is the high here on Nvidia as of right now. So nice little push right off of the break of that level there. That was nice and aggressive. A lot of volume being done. So I'm gonna be a little patient to see what that level brings in. If we can come back into that 135 again, looking for that continuation trade. If we've been holding that 135 as a resistance for the past couple of days, we've seen how significant that action was, and we get that strong push to the upside. But let's see, on a pullback, do those buyers continue to give us that continuation through that 135, or do we not hold that 135? That's the question here. ES and the NQ. There's the NQ, the NASDAQ kind of catching right back up with the NASDAQ there. With the ES there. You can see that the ES very, very strong there. There's a nice little pullback. Let's see what we do with that 135. What do you got going on with Tesla there?
Tesla's actually breaking 221 now to the upside. It's getting very strong. AMD's got to be a short somewhere. I'm just trying to find an entry. If I'm going to revert something, if I'm going to short something, it's got to be AMD. I don't see any other option. If you're looking for a pullback off of overnight highs on the NASDAQ, VWAP's going to be sitting here. I don't even know if we're going to get VWAP again on AMD. It's looking distinctly different from everything else in here. I don't want to chase it too much. Let me just give a quick look to Micron, because Micron could be a play. Nope, Micron's entirely too strong. It's got to be AMD for a fade trade in here. You know, try to go long, strong stocks, short, weak stocks. This one's red. It's one of the only things that did not participate in this move, so looking pretty nasty, but I don't want to chase it too far. I'd rather fade it off of VWAP. I know where my out's going to be, just above VWAP if we get it, and if I don't have an out, then I don't have an in, as far as I'm concerned. So let's be patient with AMD. Doesn't seem to want anything to that upside. There's always, I want to double check Rivian with this move on Tesla. Wow, Rivian is gone. Absolutely gone to the upside. 1.5%. All right, DJT is still putting in some lower highs. You always just try to go back to the well. It's after 10 o'clock. Like, what were you trading before? I've really only traded Apple, DJT, Nvidia, Tesla, and Uber. Like, those have been the ones. Haven't really strayed away from that just yet. I feel like Intel and AMD are the only two that could join the party. But lower highs on DJT, this could be something. The problem is, in addition to lower highs, you've also got higher lows. So what you need to do is break the wedge and hold underneath it. Then it sets up another short that isn't 27 even on DJT. Patience. Wait for the setup, take the trade, and then whatever happens, at least you followed a plan.
Yeah, take a look at Tesla as well. You know, we pushed past that 220 mark there on Tesla. Let me just pull this down. 220 mark. We're coming right into that 222 area, pre-market support. So let's see if that kind of turns into a support, turned into resistance. We can see that right off of the open. We got aggressive selling coming into it. We could also kind of visit this trend down from that pre-market right here. That's sitting in and around that 224s, just underneath that 224 area, in and around there on Tesla. So gonna continue to watch. Again, you said that this thing is SSR now. It just clipped that SSR point. And then we've been kind of catching a little bit of a bid, holding this level right here, 217-ish area right there, 218s, and continuing to the upside there. What's going on, Adara?
This part of the show is brought to you by Trade the Pool. Trade the Pool allows traders like you to get evaluated and trade real shares using the company's capital. No PDT rule holding you back. That's how they give a true trading edge. Here's the exciting part. Trade the Pool has just launched a limited edition program to evaluate stock traders like you. For a one-time fee of just $97, you'll receive $20,000 in buying power, and all you have to do is reach the profit goal. The best part of this limited edition program is that they have reduced the profit goal and the minimum trades required to reach the funded phase, and the profit split has been upgraded. So you keep 70% of the profits. You should definitely want to check it out. Scan the QR code or click the link in the description for information.
Thank you very much. And hey, man, it's a lot easier when you're trading firm capital, right? You got risk rules that you have to follow, which gives you that internal discipline via external discipline, like your risk limits that get put in, the rules you have to follow, the hoops you have to jump through. That gives you that external discipline, and then you build your own internal. So in terms of waiting for price action in here, it was just, there's your trend. It's a loose trend. I mean, it's not a perfect trend line, and the top trend line's kind of trash. It's a lot tighter. Like, I think if it gets above, I'm talking about DJT here, 26.25, that's an easy out. So you close underneath the trend, you're breaking down under VWAP, but if you break out 26.25, I'm out of that one. Apple looking okay. Nvidia looks like it went for the next charge. I had a bid back at 135 to see if we could pull back into that big 135 level for a dip. It did not. I did not get it. Yeah, so the challenge of 136 is incoming. I'm taking it out at 136 and holding for 137. That's the plan of action with Nvidia, is it just continues to churn higher and higher. And you know what? Even AMD wants it at this moment. So the market makes a fresh high. Even AMD. Like, we're looking for these kind of candles to get in if it's going to be a short. Not blasting higher. You don't want that. If it's going to do this, then you wait for 166. So there's no need to get in just sitting out there and getting run over by a super strong stock. So next level is going to be Nvidia. If I don't get tagged in the 90s, then I'll look to get something on the way back out through 80s if there is a failure up here. But I'm looking for another profit take. As a matter of fact, if it's slowing here on this local break, just going to have an eyeball at the tape here and see where a good out's going to be. Yeah, it's looking like I should have taken 65 just there. We'll see. You know what? No. We're going to hold for 80s. I think it's still a bit of a hold. Now, we're just going to hold for 80s. I got a lot of other things breaking out right now. I mean, Intel's looking pretty strong. Obviously, this one's still going higher. Never got that dip by. So I think Nvidia should be fine to that 136. Micron's breaking highs as well. We'll see about that DJT short. Might not be as good as the first one, but that's all right. Let's see what's going on in small cap land, Adara.
So much strength here in the IWM, which is actually at that 220 level for the first time since we hit that last Friday. So good look here for IWM, bouncing off that 218 level. We kind of chop and turned around all week up to this point. Great look as well here for TWG. This is Top Wealth Group. Just hit a new high of day before pulling back here. This is up about 175%. Announcing that they've priced its a public offering here of $10.8 million worth here. 27 million shares offered at 40 cents per share. So great look here for TWG with about a 2 million share float. 7% of that is going to be sold short. Next up, we have here on no news, but popping to the upside, STEM. This company is called STEM. They're up about 13% today. They have, it's worth noting here, a 22.6% short float. Also decent short float for our last name here, which is Pacific Biosciences of California, PACB. This one, of course, has run before. It's currently near high of days here, up about 14%, signing this national or collaboration agreement with the National Cancer Center of Singapore. The company is going to help use its sequencing technologies to help this organization. So great look here for PACB, 20% short float. Lots of names to keep an eye on here, guys.
PACB, a Kathy Wood special. I remember Pacific Biosciences. I mean, I don't know what they're up to now, but it's good to see them in play. Shout out to Kathy Wood. I hope it's going well for them. We're back underneath VWAP on AMD. I feel like this lower high, if it can hold on to these prior high candles, I should have waited for confirmation on this. Yeah, I don't think I waited for confirmation on this move. So I'm going to go with a tight stop on AMD. I like the AMD short. I feel like we missed it the first time, and that's not a good enough reason to get in early. We're going to go tight stop underneath here at about 75 and not even give it to that high. I should only give it to 70. Everything else is flying to the upside, even DJT in there. So I think that was a lazy entry. So we're going to scalp it right out, not give it to the prior high. What you want to have happen is get the topping tail candle and then get an entry like this, or even something along the lines of, down here on the way to the downside, not on the way to the upside. We're churning. Everything is flying to the upside right now. I don't know what just happened there on Apple, but it didn't get to VWAP for the reload. 229 was a prior close. 229 is the next target there on Apple. Nvidia is still churning and looking like it's going to be fantastic. The only thing we missed, at least I think I missed, was catching some kind of a reload somewhere on Uber.
Yeah, I'm watching that one real close, and it seems
It's
like
close to breaking this trend.
yeah, it's starting to break the trend there. I definitely got in a little too early. I'm still holding on to this one there, looking for a place to kind of really kind of get into the backside. But again, still holding that trend as of right now. So that could not even happen, right? So I got to pack my patience, like you said, with that one. That 135.5 still holding here on Nvidia. So let's see if that can come in for a pullback there. I like it a little bit. I like it a little better for the continuation long through on top of 135, but that 135.5 holding quite well as of right now. No real trend break on Nvidia, as again we churned a lot of volume in that 134s, and then we finally kind of built maybe some of that buying pressure going into and through that 135 on that level that clearly has been showing up over and over again, right? If you take a look at the chart, it was very distinct that it shows up over the past couple of days right there. You can see this was yesterday, prints 135s, and then prints 134.98s, I think, on the lower high, and then look at that pre-market, nice little flat tops happening there, lick grab of the pre-market low, nice little trend to the upside there, right through that 135, giving us a high of day of 135.78 on Nvidia. So beautiful action there. Also eyes on Tesla as well. Tesla is holding that 220 mark as of right now, and as Neil pointed out earlier, this thing is an SSR right now. So that little clip down to the lows put us into SSR, and we're holding below this support, potentially resistance, but yeah, it's still kind of making higher highs and higher lows on the intraday action there on Tesla. So I'll be curious to know what we do in around that 222 and what we do if we can get to that 224 area on Tesla. And another name that we're also watching is AMD, that 166 potentially for that to come in, but we made a high, intraday high right here at 165.60 as of right now. So maybe, like I said before, we've got to be a little bit more patient for some of these key levels to potentially come in before we can make a decision. But Neil, these futures, man, oh boy, flying to the upside, super strong on the day. We saw that the NQ was relatively weak coming off of the open. The ES was running, and then the NQ was like, not without me, definitely catching up to some of that strength there off of a trend break, breaking through some of these pre-market session highs as well, after-hour highs as well on the NASDAQ. So very strong. Let us know what you guys are trading on a strong day like today. A lot of these names pushing for their highs. I don't really see anything that's really selling off aggressively. The whole tech basket is hella strong right now.
Everything is very strong. I don't think the overall trend is broken on Nvidia, but since the breakout, it then put in a couple of lows here. So you got a couple of higher highs and you got a couple of higher lows. So I did take some out when it broke that trend. I'm going to hold the rest for 35. I mean, that's the level that we like for the break. You get slippage because everyone was punching orders through at 135. So you're not going to get evens or ones or twos. Like, this isn't Intel. You're going to get slipped a little bit. So I'm going to hang on for the break of the high of the day. But if we lose that temporary trend, I think the test back into 135 could be coming here. Tesla is, you got to zoom way in there. There we go on Tesla. It gets to 221.5, so almost at that opening range top before rolling in. I know I was looking short originally. I had the break of 215 to that level. This is why you get out, everybody. It's okay to be wrong. It's not okay to stay wrong. And that was actually SSR. It should have been a long, actually. That was the perfect SSR setup, to be honest with you guys. Now you're bouncing off 220. This looks pretty bullish. Short sale restricted, higher lows. It feels like it's breaking out. In Drama Lander, SSR simply means short sell restricted. So if a stock prints down 10% from the prior close on the NASDAQ New York or the NYSE market, formerly the AMEX, any print under 10%, then for that day and the following day, it is short sell restricted, which just means the uptick rule is in effect. And when the uptick rule is in effect, if you were trying to trade Tesla, and I'll just throw up Tesla because that's what I'm mentioning here, if I wanted to enter a short position by hitting the bid, removing liquidity from the bid, the last print on the tape has to be green. You can only hit the bid to go short if there was just an uptick. Makes it harder for a stock that's like getting driven down to be piled on by people slamming the bid to go short. So sometimes you can get some bounce plays on stocks when they are SSR, just a little easier for it to rise higher. Speaking of rising higher, Apple getting into this 229 level. So now we have a bit of a trend starting to form off of VWAP here in Apple. Still observing the first one from the hold of 227.5. So still observing this trend. If that breaks, we get back in at VWAP. But it looks like we're going to get that 229. It's red to green if it can hold above 229, which is, of course, key here. So just Apple and Nvidia alongside. Those are working. Let me know what else you guys are looking at. Palantir, certainly ridiculously strong. Was ridiculously strong in Palantir. Last time I looked at Palantir, we're above 44. Yeah, if you're already pulling back, Palantir might be a short. They're finally actually taking profit in this name. A little surprising there. This was a strong stock. Could be a bit of a head and shoulders action on Palantir. Maybe this should be a short into the prior high from yesterday. Good call. Didn't see that one coming on Palantir. That was a strong name previously.
Yeah, strong flush coming in off of that 130, 135. We're trading at 135s again here, Neil. So this is an interesting area to kind of continue watching. Uber got out of that one there. That thing is hella strong to the upside, continuing to make some fresh highs there. What's going on, Adara?
Criticism of the SEC from people in the crypto space is not new, but what makes this very different is we actually have some criticism of the SEC's crypto policies from its own commissioner, Mark Uyeda, making some comments last night on Fox Business, calling its approach or the organization's approach to crypto regulation, quote, a disaster, saying that because it's so conflicted, it does lead easily open to litigations or court issues. We know earlier this week, Crypto.com, which is based in Singapore, actually announced that it is actually going to be suing the SEC because they challenged the fact they were receiving a wellness notice there. So timely remarks coming here from Mark Uyeda. We'll have to see how this resolves, but interesting point here for those following the SEC and its policies with regards to crypto. Bitcoin in a really fascinating area here on that daily chart, as it has been for some time. We're finding support at the 60,000 level, complete with bottoming tail candles, but we're seeing lower highs. So we'll have to see if we're able to hold this 60,000 area or break below it. Could be pretty pivotal here. Strength here in Bitcoin. Ethereum, though, even stronger, up almost like 2.5% here, almost 3%, and holding on to that 2,400 area, edging into that 2,450. Solana up about 5%, Dogecoin up about 4%, Cardano up more than 4%, Shiba Inu 6.5%. Great day across the board for a lot of these crypto-related names, guys. Make sure you like and subscribe if you like what you're seeing.
Thank you very much, Adara. There was a decent bounce in here from 135 to 135.30 on Nvidia. So, you know, that prior high, the breakout, you get the price that you get, but the bounce comes right in at that 135 level. I reloaded at 04s, but it immediately checks up at that quarter mark. If it loses 135 even, I think a VWAP test could be not very clean, is the best way I want to think about this. So now all of a sudden, I'm going to stop out underneath prior high, make sure that we lock in profits on this trade. It's obviously been it's hard to have lost on the 135 level on Nvidia. It would be very difficult to have. It's always possible, certainly. Like obviously, if you don't take profit on the way back in, if you like load up in this test of 135 and then you don't get out, you're in trouble. But I think if we break this low, a test of VWAP could easily rinse people into 134.30, 134.40, just given how heavy the action would be above 135. It's working right now, and I want to leave in this trend. If we reject the lower high on that prior trend line, I think that'll be a good spot to take some profit as well. So Nvidia, we're back into it. Nice little bounce here for Nvidia. Unfortunately, Tesla's not really setting up anything, and that Palantir, I thought maybe there'd be some consolidation or short off of VWAP, right back to where it started. Palantir's now red on the day. There.
Eli Lilly gaining volume here, LLY. We have this report here from the Nikkei saying that Eli Lilly's CEO, David Ricks, said that the company's obesity drug is actually on track to be approved in Japan for next year, so 2025. Potential approval for its obesity drug there from Eli Lilly in Japan. LLY at almost 1 million shares traded on the day, up more than 1%. One to watch here, guys.
Eli Porter.
Lilly.
Shout out to one of the greatest rappers in YouTube history.
I'm the best, man.
I did it. Aditi. That guy was a legend. You guys don't know Eli Porter, trust me.
If you're into freestyles, definitely is a classic from back in the day, I guess.
You know what's classic? Amazon long.
Oh boy.
Oh boy, Amazon. Oh boy, everything. No, seriously.
Yeah, we broke out of
flying,
yesterday's high. Yeah.
Market's green. Nvidia finally did the break that we wanted. And Tesla's even catching a bit of a bid and making higher lows. I mean, look at the trend upside here on the Zon. Here's what's great about it. When you lose the prior trend line, don't throw it out the window, because if we end up just consolidating right back above it, it's back to being valid. Uptrend continued on Amazon. And Robbie V, I know, let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. The only gripe I have with Snowflake is that my intention was we're gonna, you break out that 50-period moving average. I thought I was gonna be able to get it in the PA somewhere underneath 120. Instead, yesterday I just got in half at 122.5 because I wanted to make sure I was in the trade after it closed above the 50. Looks like we're absolutely churning. Actually, during lunchtime, I'm gonna make sure I have an offer out. I want to make sure I take some out here in front of 35s, and then the rest I want to be holding for a test of 142. Snowflake is flying to the upside. That's what I like to see.
Yeah, this market is hella strong, and yeah, thank you for bringing my attention to Amazon. Wasn't really looking at that one, and yeah, Amazon is super strong. Again, we kind of broke out of a little bit of a key level. Not only is that prior day's high here on Amazon. This 188, what was it? 188 and some change, 188.13 here on Amazon, prior day's high. But something of significance is back when it was in and around here, I think. Let's go to a higher time frame right here. So it's an area of prior all-time highs as well. You can see we're trading in and around here. You can see that that initial little push, this was all-time highs. We wicked that all-time highs. Again, make some fresh highs there. And then right now, all-time highs is sitting at that 201. Again, we know that that Bezos lid is sitting at that 200 mark. We couldn't really get too far past that, and we got that aggressive selling. Sorry, I'm going to take some of those lines off the chart. But we got that aggressive selling into that August 5th, even post-earnings right there, off of that 201 level, all the way down to 151 halves there, Neil. And then we're coming right back in to some of these prior levels here. So, but yeah, that 188, a little bit of an interesting level from prior day and prior prices as well on Amazon. We are aggressively breaking out on this market. Something else to note is that the spider is at all-time highs as well. What's up, Adara?
This part of the show is brought to you by eSignal. Trade smarter, not harder. Upgrade to an elite trading experience. Analyze, strategize, capitalize. Foresee profitable opportunities with the platform you need. Infinite data and instant trading. Know where the market's moving before others with lightning-fast data. Charts that change the game. Customize and analyze markets faster, your way. Better backtesting and scanning. Predict the future by understanding the past. Reliable real-time data. Up to the second market info from hundreds of global markets. Everything you need, all in one place. Don't miss a beat. Execute your best trades now. Ready to elevate your trading? Scan the QR code or check the link in the description. Thank you, eSignal.
Thank you, eSignal. Thank you, Adara. Thank you, NASDAQ. Thank you Tesla, because, well, that SSR bounce, anybody that got that has got to be absolutely laughing at this moment. What's crazy about this, though, is as strong as everything is right now, like Palantir just took the low of the day here. Like, it's bleeding. There hasn't been a red candle. And you know what? There was an entry point. I was like, oh, I couldn't find my way in. No, 100%. Look right here. Right here. There's your entry. So there's your support. Look at the wick support. There's the test of VWAP, right? So wicks in, rejects VWAP. You can see that complete rejection of prices above 43.85. You can then be in on this breakdown anywhere in here or anywhere in here on an 80 break, and your stop could easily just be 90, or it could be at 43.90. So I'm wrong. There was an entry point into Palantir. Not going to chase it. I think it's going to probably find you got to find some kind of a bid at some point. Apple just got to the 229, went green, The problem with this is it's a red to green story. Like you saw Amazon, like Amazon's stronger, Tesla's now breaking out in a big way. If it loses this prior high, you're gonna drop the new trend that it put in, and I'll be out of Apple. So the VWAP retrace is out if we lose this 229 level. There's just stronger names out there that, Intel I never really got into. Amazon is absolutely flying, much, much stronger than Apple at this point. So I'm going to jump out of that one if we lose the 229 level. Nvidia's starting to get a bit sleepy as well. That kind of concerns me. Reloaded it at the 135. Now all of a sudden you have like a lower high being put in. There's a key level for it here. Like this 135.35 isn't nothing. On the initial break, this is where the first sellers emerged. So on the breakout, that's where the first sellers were. It's also going to be where anybody joining the trend that missed the breakout would have been long in here. So you've got some people that would be going long in here, giving it maybe to VWAP or underneath 135 and trying to hold for that 137. So pretty big level. If it can win again, I think we see that high of the day over on Nvidia. So still looking good there, still looking good in Apple. Don't really have anything yet for Palantir in terms of looking short, but clearly it's weak. Got to add that to the hit list. Let's go over to Adara. Time for Sector Watch, everybody.
When you look at this board, you can really see the ways in which we have the NASDAQ underperforming the S&P 500 in general a little bit here. Some basically flat action here for Nvidia and Apple in electronic technology. Meanwhile, in technology services, Microsoft a bit weaker. That is, of course, not to mention Tesla, which is breaking down the otherwise strong consumer durable sector here today, down about 7% after its CyberCab event, where it also revealed a surprise cyber van that apparently can fit about 20 people. So a bit of NASDAQ weakness, but generally lots of strength in this market and on this board. Finance sector looking great here. Producer manufacturing very strong. Finance also worth noting here. We get JP Morgan and Wells Fargo with their earnings, market reacting positively to that. We have more bank earnings all through the first half of next week. There's also some strength here. Health technology. Eli Lilly reportedly looking to have its weight loss drug approved in Japan by early next year. So that's a good look as well. Transportation strong. This is also led by Uber in a bit of an antipathy play with what's going on with Tesla and this Cybertruck. Generally lots of strength in this market, especially if you're looking at finance or some of these producer names, guys.
All right, thank you very much, Sarah Adara. I can't believe the overall strength that we've got going on right now with this. It's not just the NASDAQ. I mean, I looked over at Caterpillar. I love this stock. I love this stock. We're not at 410 yet, Sharif, but we're going to get to 410. Forget about 410 on Caterpillar. We're going to 420, baby. This is one of my favorites. Buy good companies that you like on the 200-period moving average on the daily is my motto. So it's one of the names that I've been buying on the 200-period moving average. It's pretty much the only industrial name that I actually own. What else do you need? Who cares? But it's going to get there. You just made a fresh high, but everything's making fresh highs. I just looked at Uber. It might be reverting now, but even then, I just kind of want to look for it to pick it up at VWAP. I think that's the next level for sure. David Forrest just mentioned even Celsius wants to go green. Red to green on Celsius would be rather nice. It had a great day yesterday, CLH, and look where it just held. Oh, baby. High, support, higher lows. Yeah, this looks good. This looks good on Celsius. 35 break, out at 34.70, or a dip into VWAP. That looks pretty good on Celsius. It's the red to green above that anyways. And it also, this is a possible, when you think about Celsius, it's a pretty decently shorted name at 12%. So I think you got to look at it through that lens as well, like a decent short float for a potential 35 break in here. Good look there. I like that one.
Yeah, I think I'm definitely kind of watching this. We would talk about the market being super strong, right? Take a look at AMD. AMD could not break its highs. Everything else in the chip sector is pretty strong there. I have eyes on, I guess, Nvidia. Nvidia broke through its pre-market highs. Intel's super strong. SMCI super strong. Even SMH kind of very, very strong on the day as well.
He's coming back.
You can see that AMD, though, could not break its highs, still trading within its opening range there. 166 potentially incoming. I have no idea, but we're making a lower high as of right now on just underneath this 165. here on AMD as the market looks to catch a little bit of a sell. We got that aggressive buying, bit of a double top here on the Nasdaq as well, in and around that 20,480 as well, and we're getting some selling in that area as of right now, kind of coming back into these prior levels. ES taking a little bit of a breather as well, and if you look at SMH is kind of breaking its prior bar low back through that 257, 256 area. Right now trading at 256. Is what I mean right here. Intel with a bit of a pullback as well. AMD is the one I have eyes on. If we can get to that 166, that could definitely be interesting here on AMD. Again, that little bounce, a little bit catching, a little aggressive selling off of that AI event yesterday. And today we're just consolidating sideways, a bit of sideways action there. I'm going to be continuing to watch for that 166 to potentially come in. Let us know in the chat what you guys are trading. 9 to 5 grind is asking, what about AVGO? So let's take a look at AVGO right now and see what that one is up to here on the day. Oh boy, AVGO is definitely weaker than the rest of them there. So thank you for pointing that out. I was not looking at one of them, but again, AVGO is a slightly different again in that action today. We saw that aggressive bid coming in on Wednesday, sideways consolidation, and we've kind of reverted that back through the low of yesterday right there. That happened to break down in the pre-market. We wicked that level right off of the open there as well for a continued push down for a low of 177.40s. As of right now, we're coming right back in. Take a look at this. You guys are talking about AVGO. Take a look at this trend break, man. Oh boy, that AVGO trend break coming in real nice for that reversion. 181 is the high. We're trading 179s right now. What's going on?
So I just trailed out of Apple here. We got that 228.80. We're coming back into VWAP, it seems like. The reload on Intel. Sorry, Intel. I haven't even traded Intel. The reload on Nvidia. We got the same bounce as the first time. We reloaded at 135.02. It got right into the 20s and right underneath 35. Now, sometimes you give it to VWAP, not this time. Tight stop. We're now lower highs. Didn't regain that original trend line, which I said was going to be a problem. Let it rinse VWAP here. I feel like this was so heavy over 135 that a rinse of VWAP could take you down into the 134.30 range where you had that higher low buying. So either confirmation that VWAP's going to hold, or we wait for it to get to a better support level. This is what you're looking at now on the Nasdaq. That's why I'm now out of the longs, ring the register, preserve that profit. You now have topping tail candles, 2 of them on the 15-minute over the overnight highs. This is easily a move that could take us into 2040. So I'm going to allow that to happen. I want to see what I can get short, if I can even find anything back in underneath that I like. I mean, the obvious answer would be AMD or Palantir. Palantir, which is incredibly weak, is finding support at the pre-market low. So it's not the best place to look for a short entry. Certainly 43.6 to 43.7 in the VWAP can make a little bit of sense. So I'm going to let things calm down a bit. I think Nvidia is still relatively strong. This might be an opportunity here with only 15 minutes to go. Amazon's been a beast. Now that it looks like a bit of a Christmas tree, can be an opportunity to get Amazon maybe at VWAP. Or when you pull it out to the 15-minute chart here on Amazon, you've got a couple of things to be able to consider. It's not just VWAP. Got 188.5, pretty key level coming back in here. So got my eyeballs on Amazon now because we didn't get that before. So VWAP isn't just a round number, it's also that prior key level, 188.5. Gonna let this glide back into it. I think we're on a bit of a downturn here in the market. That'll allow us to pick up some bids on the stocks we liked before. And then we'll just see if we're right. Amazon coming back in here. Nvidia looks like it's doing what I expected. I thought maybe you'd pull a little bit further on a VWAP flush, but nothing just yet. Very quickly here, before we get to the Tesla show with Randy, I want to thank Scott Edwards here. Appreciate the super chat. Your insight on Google to get out there just gave me my first 4-figure day. Congratulations. Where's my congratulations? There we go. Congratulations. You guys are the best. No, you guys are the best, Scott. We have the best community out there. That's why we say hit the like, hit the subscribe, and share it, because we all learn together. I didn't notice Intel was going. I didn't notice Amazon was going, but we all found these together, and that's what it's all about here. So shout out to you, Scott. But as promised, I just heard, we've got the Tesla show with Randy.
We thought we would do a official recap here for the good people. after this event last night that was made out to be a game changer. I feel like I'm creeping off screen here. A game changer, not only for the industry as a whole, ride-sharing industry as a whole, but for the auto industry as a whole. We're seeing the reaction this morning in Uber up huge, Tesla down huge. It's trying to roll over right now. I was just noticing after that nice bounce. But yeah, there it is. That's the, in whatever year this is, $30,000 RoboCab that's allegedly going to come out in a couple of years.
Coupe.
Yeah, I think it looks great. I have a couple of questions. The first is going to be, we've heard this from Elon when it comes to the Cybertruck. We've heard it from Elon when it comes to the Roadster. Prices tend to shift in one direction, from what they're first made out to be to when it actually gets to a production aspect or a production spec. But give me your thoughts here. Everyone's going to, I guess, buy a RoboCab and then have it take them to work, and then it's just going to work for you all day?
I heard that, and the concept, and I thought, well, maybe. This is a lot of potential, and Elon loves selling potential.
Yeah.
We know that. And number two, I think it's very potentially disruptive because, again, you have the likes of Uber and Lyft or even just regular taxi companies.
Yeah.
Who are drivers, owners, who are making their living off, moving people around. And you take the driver or potentially even owner out of the scenario, and now we have this.
Yeah.
So you get into a car that has, maybe it's a fleet, maybe it's owned by one company, and there's dozens of these, and there's no drivers involved at all. So you have the potential of taking a livelihood away from someone who is driving for Lyft, Uber, or just a cab company in general.
But on that, you're also giving that person the opportunity, at least, to go out and get their own and do it for themselves. Yeah.
So for $30,000, you have a car. Yes, it's going to be charged. That car still needs, in some cases, a taxi license from the city. And you're not driving anymore. So now you have the capability of maybe running 7 or 8 or more vehicles by one person.
Yeah.
So if one's off the road for charging, the other 6 or 7 are running around. So I said that there's potential here. Is it disruptive? Yes. Has Elon promised before? Yes. Have we seen those promises? Well, sometimes.
If anyone's going to do it.
If anyone's going to do it, he's got the ability. Again, Tesla, we had this discussion just outside with the guys. People hear the name and they think it's a car company.
Yeah.
There's so much more than just the cars. I mean, they've poured billions and billions into FSD. The AI component, the H100 cards that they're buying from Nvidia en masse to train Dojo and all these other platforms to be able to push the envelope. So we now have the envelope, and it doesn't have to be a 2-door car. We saw the Robo van. Really, the hardware underneath the software is ubiquitous. It could be any platform you want.
Yeah.
So I don't think the van, and Obi said this morning, it's a cool look. No windows, or no windshield anyway. Holds 20 people. The platform is I think, irrespective of the actual push when we're doing the envelope. It could be a big bus. It could be a school bus. It could be, imagine driving your kids to school. There's nobody driving them. It could be an airport shuttle. There's a lot of potential here. You get off at the airport now. Instead of taking Up Express, you take your driverless 20-person RoboVan. So again, the potential, he's always offered.
Unlimited,
He's always given us the vision to say we could do this. As he disrupts industries, the taxi industry is 100 years old. What's next?
I saw somebody else refer to the van as the Robo Toaster van.
Looks like a dustbuster,
It's a little...
Looks like a vacuum cleaner.
But I want to get your take on you touched on the charging aspect of this. They mentioned the concept, at least, of wireless induction charging.
Yes.
And possibly through mats or even tracks on the roads. That's far down the history train, I guess. But we saw from Tesla, I think it was the beginning of this year, might have been the end of last year. Time goes by too quickly. Those pads that they were working on, where you could have it in your garage, essentially at home, and you just drive the car in, park the car on the pad in your garage.
There's no cable.
You come back in the morning and it's charged.
I mean, it's from an owner's perspective, it's convenience. from a, if you're building a new parking lot, instead of having charging cables and connectors, you can just park in a designated spot and walk away.
Yeah.
From a cyber taxi perspective, as the car is driving down the road, it's actually charging. So if this all completely depends on city infrastructure where these cars are deployed. So if they go to the extent of repaving the road or rebuilding the road, and they build this induction charging system under certain roads, the car travels the road, it gets some percentage of charge as it's delivering passengers where they need to go. It heavily relies on the roads or where it's parked to have that infrastructure in place. I think he's heavily relying on somebody else to do this for him because they don't build roads that I know of.
No.
Not yet, anyway.
Yeah.
This is not new. There are places in, I believe, Norway where they've experimented with induction charging on city streets. You maintain a certain speed, you get a certain charge at that speed, and it boosts the car. Again, Texas and California, he mentioned. The cities where these cars would be deployed would have to have that infrastructure there. I think it's a great idea. We're all cordless and wireless now. We have it on our phones. We've had it for years. I think it's a wonderful idea, and there's potential there.
Yeah.
But there's a lot hinging on the underlying infrastructure.
Yeah.
It has to be a part of that.
You mentioned California, Texas. As soon as next year, they're going to roll out Model 3s and Model Ys on the FSD. Their ride-sharing app, I guess, is the way it's going to work. And, if they take the Waymo model here, they've essentially gridded out a certain area.
Yes.
And these vehicles will be able to travel within that certain area.
Right.
On those certain roads.
They would be effectively geofenced because that's, the area where they're testing to initially get this platform off the ground. Waymo and Lyft and Uber down the road experimenting with much larger. Now, do they have a hardware platform, as the guys talked? Yes and no. Tesla has the platform, but again, this is about a software battle, I think. I think the Waymos and the other platforms out there can be really adaptive with a bunch of code to any car.
Yep.
So I think Tesla has that in their pocket. They've got the hardware. They've got the hardware platforms. And again, it could be a van or a coupe or again, as I said this morning, possibly maybe that's the new Model 2.
Yeah.
Change some body panels.
Yeah.
Again, a lot of potential here. No promises, no delivery dates.
And I think that's the negative here this morning. A lot of people were looking for more specifics and more exact timelines and data points and things like that. But as you said, if you're Elon, you throw that in your back pocket and keep people waiting.
And there's a lot of people waiting in the wings for a lot of things he's promised.
Yeah.
So it keeps the hype cycle going. But I think as an investor, and we saw the market this morning, not so much.
Yeah.
How much of a revenue stream is this going to be when it finally does launch in 2029 or whenever he finally gets it out the door, because there's been so many promises made for other products before this? Do they have the capacity to build it? And Texas and California being, okay, it's not the whole continental U.S. It's a small market, but they got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
I don't see this being a massive revenue stream initially, and I think that has investors a little bit worried.
And Uber up huge as a result today. Great stuff. Positive, negative, just in general?
A little bit negative.
Yeah.
A little bit negative. Again, the hype surrounding the event, it was very slick. It was well produced. The van was kind of a surprise.
If anyone's
the
going to
robots.
Do it, that's,
you and I are going to buy one.
That's a whole other conversation.
Another conversation.
We can have it another time.
Randy, somebody will bring me a coffee finally.
Exactly. Hey, or many.
Or many coffees.
Or many, yeah. The resident auto expert, Randy, joining us with a take on this Tesla event. Start of something new, start of the future, I guess, for Tesla.
It could very well be.
Guys.
That is the Randy rundown. I love it. I'll tell you right now, Randy, when I get rid of that crutch and I'm moving faster, I'll be happy to grab you coffees, brother. I'm like itching to be able to do stuff, like hold stuff in two hands, not be carrying this piece of garbage around in there. There we go. MSTR is gone, 10% to the upside. The market just did a ridiculous wick. But before I get to what just happened on Nvidia, I'll show you what happened on Nvidia. I'm not in Nvidia, obviously, the long side. I didn't get in. $200 on MicroStrategy now. 10% up. It is absolutely squeezing at this moment on MSTR. It's gonzo. What's crazy about it, we're talking about a 189 break. obviously taking a break on MicroStrategy should have been prioritized over Uber and Nvidia. You can say that, I can say that all I want. I liked Uber and Nvidia more than I like MicroStrategy, so I'm not in this stock. But congratulations to anybody that is Nvidia. I don't like you anymore because you did this. Waited for it to get down. Like, okay, if we lose VWAP, let me just cancel that order because we didn't get it. Look. Waited for it to get down to the 134.25. I'm like, I'm going to be patient with this entry. Let it actually set up. Let it set up. Wicks off the bottom. There's the confirmation. Try to get it back through the 134.5. It just jumped up on me and wasn't able to pick it up there. So the problem now, after having missed that entry point, because you're waiting for the, I'm waiting for strength off this level. We got it, and I didn't get that long. Now you get a rejection off of VWAP in what is turned into, you just call it like this little bit of a downward trend. You're not even breaking this trend line. What's crazy about it is if you look at this trend, it needs to be back above 135 again, which is our key level in the first place. So all roads have led back to this 135 holding above on Nvidia, or at least holding VWAP. Needed to grab that bid in here, get the 35, 40 cents, be in the money, and not buy it off of those highs. That was a hefty reversal. Need to find something stronger. Oh, wow, there's no time left. I really thought 188.5 on Amazon. Amazon said, I don't care about your 188.5, Neil. I don't care about your VWAP. Amazon is an absolute beast. So a bit of a miss there, unfortunately, on Nvidia. Amazon never came to my price, so it didn't matter. And by the way, AMD now looks like it's going to be a break through 166, through the high of the day.
Keep watching that one.
If you're going to get the breakout on AMD at 166, you're going to have to do it with Sharif and Joseph, because we've got, oh, it's a, no, it's not. It's a dare. Oh, it's Satya today. Oh, sorry, it's Satya. That's my bad. I saw Joseph down there. It's Satya today. My bad. It's going to be Sharif and Satya. I don't know what the lesson is today, but it's risk management, which was an important one today, because some of those breakouts weren't that simple. So you got risk management today with Sharif and not Joseph. It is Satya. Go get him.
See you guys.
See, I read everything.
166.
What is up, beautiful people? Welcome to How to Trade, formerly known as That Midday Show. That is your girl, Satya. Yes.
This is Sharif, as you should know by now. Come on.
I love the attitude. Let's get it, girl.
And we are back on the Midday Show.
We are, and for whatever reason, we're flying the stars there. Always reminds me of Hanna-Barbera, by the way. I don't know why. All right, let's do the